Let's go.
Good morning. The Board of Liquor License Commissioners for Baltimore City proceedings will begin. The board is now in session. If you're in possession of any type of electronic device, please place said device on the off or silent mode during proceedings. Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, there being no preliminary matters on the AM docket, case number 1, Utah Liquors, 115-17 North Utah Street. This is a Class A beer, wine, and liquor license, here for violation of Rule 4.16, illegal conduct, on March the 26th, 2018. Violation of Rule 3.12, general welfare, March the 26th, 2018. Please come forward.
Okay, all those who are here to testify in this matter, please come forward immediately. Got a long docket today, so we're going to move. All witnesses, please raise your right hands.
Raise your right hands, please. Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? I do.
Okay, so we have a,
This is one side and that's the other.
counsel, you want to identify yourself for the record?
Okay, you probably want me over there. Okay, thanks. Yes, good morning, Stephen W. Fogelman on behalf of licensees.
Okay, Mr. Fogelman, your client's charged with a Rule 4.16 violation on March 26, as well as a Rule 3.12 violation. Admission or denial?
That's a denial.
Okay. Who's going to testify? Who's the officer who was involved? Would you step up, sir, please?
Yes, sir.
And your name?
Officer Austin.
I need to make sure you give me your first names, too.
Officer David Austin.
A-U-S-T-I-N?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Were you present on March 26, 2018?
Yes.
Okay. Can you tell the board in summary fashion? You have a report, by the way?
Yes, sir.
Do you want to submit that? Have you seen the report, Mr. Fogelman?
I assume it's the same report as that was in the file for
Okay.
nearly a year, so yes.
Okay. So it's in our file already, Mr. Page? Okay.
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. So briefly, what did you observe?
We performed a search warrant at Utah Liquors. And, I'm sorry. And at that time, we, I believe it was it 6 employees at the time? And then later, the husband showed up. And we searched the area. We had a canine search. Before we did too much of a search, we just spanned the area to make sure it was safe, rendered it safe, and then we did canine came through. Their search was limited due to all the liquor bottles. We didn't want to damage anything, with the dog searching around. And then they did indicate on certain areas, and we found CDS, controlled substance.
All was outlined in your report?
Right.
Okay. And it was all tested chemically?
Yes.
And it came back positive for
Yes.
CDS?
Yes.
Okay. And were these other officers with you?
Yes.
And can we identify them for the record, please? Would you just give us your names, please?
Yes, sir. It's Detective David Jones, Central District Special Enforcement Unit.
Good morning.
Officer Burdell, Pressbury Central District Uniform Patrol.
Your first name, sir,
Burdell, B-E-R-D-E-L-L.
and last name?
Pressbury.
Pressbury. Okay. Thank you. Okay. Did you have questions?
Yes, very briefly, thank you. You were present for the execution of the search warrant, correct?
Yes.
All right, however, Detective Jones was not, isn't that right?
No, he was.
All right, I'll inquire with him in a minute. All right, so when you executed the search warrant, you say that licensees were not present? That being?
I'm sorry.
That being Kun Hyun Cho, Anthony Hargrove, or A.E. Kim?
The gentleman's wife was present. He wasn't.
Ms. Kim?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
All right, and was Ms. Kim polite and cooperative?
Yes.
With you during the execution of the search warrant?
Yes.
All right, thank you. I have no further questions.
Okay.
of
Did you have a
this
question for the
officer.
detective?
Yes, Detective Jones? All right, you were present at the execution of the search warrant?
was.
In this case, okay, very well. And Ms. Kim, licensee, who was reported as present at the time of the execution of the search warrant. She was also polite and cooperative as far
Yes,
as
she
you
was.
knew? Okay,
Yes.
thank you very much.
Okay. Did you want to put on evidence?
Yes, I do. I'll try to be brief.
Mr. Coleman, is your client going to testify?
Yes, he will be.
Just need to swear him in.
Absolutely.
Raise your right hand, sir. Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
And the name is Sung Ryu, Seungryu. Okay. All right, and step up to the mic here. All right, and Mr. Ryu, you are the husband of Ms. Kim, the licensee, isn't that right?
Yes.
And Ms. Kim has arrived here to your right, isn't that right? Okay.
Excuse me, let's swear her in as well.
Ms. Kim? It's okay.
Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Your hey, Kim?
No.
Okay, and you were not present
Yeah.
when the search warrant was executed, isn't that right? All right.
I wasn't.
Your wife, Ms. Kim, the licensee, was present. All right, and did you operate a Baltimore County liquor store for years with Ms. Kim? You did? You have to say yes or no.
What?
Did you operate a Baltimore County liquor store for years? Did an opportunity come along in Baltimore City that you and your wife took the job? Yes? You bought the store. You had no incidents in Baltimore County, isn't that right? All right. You had an employee in Baltimore County,
Yeah.
a Mr. Batts.
Yeah.
He'd worked for you without incident. Isn't that right?
Other bad.
Right, a different Mr. Batts.
Sir, you're going to have to talk louder or
Yeah.
get to the microphone, move to
Okay.
the microphone this way.
Yes, I did.
Okay. Mr. Batts told you that his brother needed a job. Isn't that right?
Yes.
Okay. He told you his brother had gone to prison in the past. Isn't that right?
Yes.
And he told you that his brother worked at the International House of Pancakes in Baltimore County, right?
Yes.
So you called his employer, isn't that right?
Yes. He's
And
managed.
to inquire about whether he's a good employee and trusted,
Yeah.
right? All right. So Mr. Shawnell Batts came to work for you.
Yeah.
When?
Since as soon as I started a month later,
So what year?
2016.
2016. All right. And did Mr. Batts, how was Mr. Batts as an employee?
Actually, he was a nice work for me. At the first time, he would come to me and then he asked for the job. I asked him, what happened to you? He told me everything about him. And then he asked me the second chance to his life. I said, you're not going to make any trouble? He swear to me. He promised me.
Okay, so you and Miss Kim kept an eye on him, right?
Yeah, we can.
And there was never any money missing, right?
No, nothing.
And there was never any product missing, any
No.
inventory in the store.
He don't have any problem before that.
So after he'd worked there for nearly a year,
Yes.
you gave him the keys to the establishment.
Yeah.
Isn't that right? You did, right?
I did,
So he
yeah.
could open up in the morning.
Yep.
All right. Did you have any knowledge whatsoever that illegal activity was taking place at the store?
No, I didn't know anything.
Was there anything suspicious in your mind?
My money is always right. Any problem? No problem.
But it's your testimony that you had no knowledge whatsoever of drug activity inside the store.
No.
Okay. After the search warrant was executed, you and your wife spent 3 weeks in jail. Isn't that right?
It's true.
All right. In fact, you had to fly your mother-in-law cross country.
My mom.
Your mom.
Yeah.
who speaks no English
No, no.
to raise your children for 3 weeks, not knowing where their parents were.
Yeah.
All right. And during the time since this happened, the license has been suspended, isn't that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And your wife and you have estimated, both in letters to the liquor board and here today, that you've lost over $150,000 in net income during that time.
Yeah.
Isn't that right? Okay. You have made some changes. Isn't that right?
Yeah.
All right. I have nothing further of this witness. Thank you.
Okay. Let me just ask the officer to come back forward. I want to ask him a couple more questions.
Sure.
Officer Austin, so how many people were charged as a result of what was found during the search and seizure?
6.
And do you know if any of them were convicted?
I believe we have 4 convictions.
Do you have any records on the convictions?
I don't have the conviction printout.
Okay. Do you know who was convicted?
Okay.
Can
Thank
you
you,
come
sir.
forward and be sworn?
Raise your right hand, please. Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, sir.
Your name and spelling.
Ashley Smith, A-S-H-L-E-Y, and Smith, S-M-I-T-H.
So
Ashley, A-S-H-L-E-Y.
Mr. Smith, how many people were charged?
There were about 6 people charged, but only 1 was found guilty that I know of.
And of those who were charged, Ms. Kim was one. Were the
Yes.
other licensees charged?
I believe there were 2 other licensees that were charged, but I came with the information of the one that was found guilty. He was one of the employees.
And what happened with the other charges?
The other charges, I believe they were dropped. Their cases were stepped.
Okay. And was there a chemical analysis performed?
Yes, there was.
Is there someone here who performed that?
I do not believe so.
Where are they? Please come up. Who did the chemical analysis and who has the results?
We all three did.
You have to come up and identify. You have to be sworn if you weren't already. Okay.
Yes,
What's your name, sir?
Marcus Williams, work for
Mr.
the
Williams,
drug,
okay.
drug analysis unit in the Baltimore Police Department.
So what did you find?
We all three did separate chemical analysis on 3 separate property, a couple different property numbers. I can testify to the one that I actually analyzed.
Okay.
Okay. Regarding the property number 1801-0086, it was the 56 cleared Ziploc baggies with red smiley face pattern on one side containing dry green-brown plant material. Using my presumptive and confirmatory testing, I found that they were indeed marijuana.
Okay.
Yep.
And that was what do you have a report or something you want to submit?
I have a copy of the report itself.
Okay, why don't you give that to Ms. Russell? It will be received. Who else did an analysis?
That was 19 grams. I believe so. I had to take a note.
Ma'am, did you do an analysis? Can you state your name, please? Tell us what you did.
Yes, my name is Francine Ray, and I'm a chemist for the Baltimore Police Department. And you was correct at first, R-A-Y. Yes, and my property number was 1801-0089. It was 2 items in this case. The first item was 1 black scale containing a green residue. That was no CDS. The second item was a pink and brown scale. It had brown residue. That was no CDS as well. The next property number that I have here is 1801-0034. That item was 1 white and red lottery ticket containing an off-white powder substance. That one contained fentanyl. The next property number that I have was 1801-1448. This one had 10 items contained inside. Item number 1, because it was just residue in this case, that one was not analyzed. Item number 2 was not analyzed. Item number 3 was a red and white lottery ticket containing tan powder substance. That one was heroin. Item number 4 was not analyzed. Item number 5 was 5 clear gel caps containing a off-white powder substance. That was cocaine and heroin mixed. Item number 6 was not analyzed. Item number 7 was, and that one was 5 glass vials with blue tops containing a white rock substance, and that one was cocaine. Item number 8 was not analyzed. Item number 9 was not analyzed, and item number 10 was not analyzed. because
do you have a report as well that you can submit?
yes.
And before she does, just one question. I wanted to
ahead.
ask the last analyst the question. So what was the, I saw on his report, it said 19.04 G. I assume that means it was 19 grams of marijuana. In this case, can you tell me how much cocaine was recovered in the various, you've talked about a baggie or a lottery ticket of fentanyl,
Okay.
a lottery ticket of heroin, and the gel caps, just for
For
reference.
the cocaine, it was 6.01 grams.
Grams.
For, that was for item number 7 on 1801-1448. For item number 5, it was 1.72 grams. And for item number 3, it was 0.90 grams. And in the case of 1801-0034, that one with the lottery ticket, that was 1.06 grams.
Thank you.
You also do an analysis, ma'am.
I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hi, my name is Lindsay Armstrong, Lindsay Armstrong, Armstrong. I did 2 property number analyses. I will just read off the ones that I actually analyzed in the result. For property number 1801-0090, item number 3, the 24 blue top glass vials, I analyzed one of those and identified cocaine base. For item number 7, the 14 purple plastic Ziploc bags, again, I analyzed one, identified cocaine base. Item number 8 was 1 clear plastic Ziploc bag. I analyzed the one, it was heroin. Item number 9, I analyzed the 1 clear plastic twist bag, which was cocaine base. And then the additional property number was 1801-0091, and that was 2 purple plastic Ziploc bags identified as cocaine base.
Okay.
Right.
Thank you. Do you have questions?
Very briefly, and the sum total of the CDS recovered is about 35 grams or less. You would agree?
I can only talk to the ones I analyzed.
All right,
There were multiple
but
units.
We can add them up. I mean, as far as just what you've analyzed, that's all I'm asking. And I see 1 and 2, and then 20.
So that's 20.23. This one, because this gross weight is actually the total weight of all 24 items.
Right.
So
The gross weight, including the packaging.
correct.
Right.
So then the net weight was 0.11, 0.05, and 3.47 for cocaine base, and then heroin was 1.44 grams.
Right, so less than 6 grams of total net weight CDS.
Without a calculator in front of me, yes, that sounds
All right,
approximate.
thank you. I have no further questions.
Okay, thank you. Anything else? Okay, did you have anything further, Mr.
I do. I'm going to try to keep it brief because I know we've got this docket. If I could move on to Ms. Kim, brief testimony?
Sure.
Okay, thank you. All right, Ms. Kim, you were here when I asked your husband to testify about Mr. Batts coming to work for you, right?
Yes.
Okay, his brother worked with you in Baltimore County, isn't that right?
Yes.
All right. His brother asked if you would be interested in hiring him, isn't that right?
Yeah, he recommended his.
And you did contact his prior employer to inquire about him as an employee, right?
Yeah.
You asked if he was trustworthy, right?
Yeah, this is.
Okay. And when you hired him, you watched him, did you not? Did you grow to trust him?
I trusted him.
Did you trust him too much in hindsight?
I think I trusted too much.
Yeah. So and in fact, you did spend 20 days in jail with your husband, isn't that right?
Yeah.
Okay. And it has been it's been a terrible year for your family, isn't that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Still, we have in pain.
And you are in debt, right? And you have had to tap into your 401k, right?
Yeah, we canceled insurance and we did everything.
Right. And since this happened, you've had a lot of time to think about the business, isn't that right?
Yeah.
Okay. So what are you doing, what can you do differently to make sure that you are in compliance with all laws?
Me and my husband, we work stores all the time. We never missed any. So you don't trust anybody, and we walk store all the time. You stay in store
You own,
when in open hours.
you own the building and have a mortgage on the building, right? Okay. Now, you've agreed that should the liquor board allow you to return to business, that you will agree in the form of a license restriction that a licensee has to be present at all times.
Yes,
Okay, all times that you are open.
yes,
All right. You have had an excellent video system of security, isn't that right?
yes.
That is in the hands of the Baltimore Police Department.
Yeah, right now they have it.
Okay. And have they told you when you will be getting it back?
They said they cannot return to us, so we have to get a new one.
All right. And so you have submitted or received an invoice for a new security system at a cost of $5,500. Isn't that right?
Yeah, we estimate they did.
All right. And you received this just this morning, isn't
Yeah,
that right?
invoice, yeah.
All right. I'd ask that that be marked into
You received?
as one. Thank you.
Stacy.
Now, should you be able to go back to business, you will have a fully functional video surveillance system in all times, right? And you have the ability to offer remote access to the Baltimore Police Department,
Yeah, we open.
and you will agree to
Yeah,
that
yeah.
on the license. You are members of the Marketplace Association, right?
Yes,
Because you pay special assessment, extra taxes to
Yeah.
be there.
yes,
You will become active members in the Marketplace Association
Yeah.
so that you can have a dialogue with the community,
Yeah.
with your neighbors, your business neighbors. And finally, you and Mr. Ryu have hired a security consultant. Isn't
yes.
that right?
Yes,
All right. And you're already working with the security consultant to identify any weak places that you might have for security in your operation.
yeah, yeah.
Okay. All right. I have nothing further of this witness.
Okay. Do you have other witnesses?
I do. I could save them, but I think I should
them for-
bring them up right now. Just one.
Okay, go ahead.
All right. Thank you.
This is the
All right.
time
Thank
to-
you both. Sure.
Your Honor, may I add one thing?
Sure.
The DVR system that we have, we only have the DVR. We don't have the entire security system. We have the DVR, but that is still evidence for possible further trials for the convictions that we have, so they can appeal. That has to be ready, available for the courts. That's why it cannot be returned, because of the evidence that is on that.
Okay. Yeah, okay. Just while you're here, so are the police report, the conviction summaries, and the chemical analyses, they're all in evidence, Ms. Russell? Yes. Okay, thank you. Mr. Fogelman, go ahead.
Thank you. I call John Howard.
Okay. He's retired. Can't do that. Good morning, Mr. Howard.
Good
Nice
morning.
to see you again.
Morning.
How's everybody?
All right. Thank you. Mr. Howard, he raised his hand.
Oh, I've already done it, but I'll do it again.
We trust you.
He's good at this. So in any event, Mr. Howard, you are retired former acting chief inspector of the Baltimore City Liquor Board. Isn't that right?
Yes.
All right. And you worked for the liquor board for over 14?
About 13 years.
13 years. All right. Did you receive a call to assist a licensee here?
Yes, I did.
All right. And in fact, did Ms. Kim engage you as a security consultant?
Yes.
All right. And tell me what a security consultant would do for them.
Well, what I've stated that I would do is to come in, do look at the establishment and make recommendations on as far as, the security cameras, what the employees, what best practices that their employees should undertake, and to assure that they abide by all local liquor board and all regulations.
All right, and so when you say you'll look at their security cameras, what do you mean by that?
Well, what I would, look at and, try and identify any blind spots, both on each side of the counter, for the customers as well as the employees.
And as far as best practices go, I assume you're talking about things that licensees seem to do well.
Yes.
And in this case, when you spoke with Ms. Kim, what best practices have you already discovered?
Well, one that I looked at is that they did have, a health permit that would allow them to sell cups, of ice. And I told them that with the low risk, and I told them that, that should not be, they can't do that. Because what that would allow is people to, either purchase and then open a container inside or walk out the door and open the container and put it in the cups.
All right, and your work with them, it doesn't end here today, does it?
No, it doesn't. What I will be doing is I will be going in, training their, employees to assure, and they've already agreed that anyone that they hired would take the alcohol awareness training, and I will be making unannounced visits to, observe, the operation and make recommendations.
Do you think the presence of a licensee at all times on the premises can help the situation?
Yes, I do.
All right, and you think it's very necessary for them to have a state-of-the-art surveillance system?
Oh, by all, yes.
And
that's an absolute.
And if you determine that they need an on-premise security guard, based on what your analysis of the loitering inside or outside the store, will you make recommendations for them to hire said security?
Yes.
But you are not going to be security guard.
No, I'm not going to be a security guard.
Very good. All right. And is there,
my primary job is to make recommendations, which they have assured me that if I make the recommendation, it would be adhered to.
all right, thank you very much. I have no further questions.
Thank you, Mr. Howard. Nice to see you.
Mr. Howard.
Thank you.
Anything further?
Nothing further by way of testimony.
Okay, let me see if the other commissioners have questions. Okay. Commissioners have questions?
I don't have any questions.
No questions.
Okay, did you want to sum up?
I do. There's no evidence that the licensees were complicit in this terrible criminal enterprise. And when I say terrible criminal enterprise, quite frankly, I thought there was more drugs involved when I got involved in this case. The presence of any amount of drugs is a problem. It's problematic. And it's something that should obviously give the liquor board pause. But this operation was not a big operation. It was not, we're not talking about more than a couple of ounces of CDS, which while that sounds like a lot, that's something that can be furtively done without the knowledge of other employees in the store or a manager potentially. That having been said, I mean, what this case comes down to is that they gave an ex-con a chance. They let their guard down and they were burned by it. And given the court's disposition of the licensee and her husband and the stats, whereas the perpetrator went to jail prison for 8 years, I feel like there's a disconnect there. And in fact, a disconnect that shows that they had no knowledge. Otherwise, they would have suffered forfeitures and possibly a criminal conviction. So I would argue that neither 312 nor 3.16 implicate the licensees by a preponderance of the evidence. And furthermore, I believe that the two charges are very much duplicative. They rest on the exact same foundations. And so I believe that it would be appropriate for one of them to be dismissed.
Okay. Commissioners have anything else?
No questions.
Okay, thank you. On the basis then of all the materials that are contained in the charging documents, the evidence that's been received here today, the testimony that's been received, and any proffers that have been submitted, I would find a violation of Rule 4.16, illegal conduct, on March 26, 2018, and I would find a violation of Rule 3.12, general welfare, on March 26, 2018. And just to respond briefly to your argument, Mr. Fogelman, I think under the Kugel case, they have the ultimate responsibility for what goes on in their establishment, so I don't think they're exonerated. Commissioners?
Yeah, I too find, based on the testimony we've heard, police report, and the lab analyses and proffer today, I too find a violation of Rule 4.16, illegal conduct, on March 26, 2018, and a violation of Rule 3.12, general welfare, on March 26, 2018.
I join my colleagues. Based on the evidence, the testimony, the proffers, I too find a violation of Rule 4.16 on March 26, 2018, as well as a violation of Rule 3.12 on March 26, 2018.
Okay. Ms. Wood, did you want to say something? Yeah, come up and be sworn, please.
She may have been sworn in.
Have you been sworn in?
Are you testifying or are you presenting evidence?
I'm not presenting evidence. I'm just making a brief argument as to the punishment for
Okay,
this.
well, let's swear you just for the sake of it. Okay.
Sure.
Raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
So, I'm sorry, but this lady with you?
Yes.
Okay, come on up.
Come on. Okay.
And you are?
Hi, good afternoon. Good morning. I'm Kristen Mitchell. I'm the Executive Director of the Market Center Merchants Association.
And I'm here on behalf of the Market Center Merchants Association. As you all probably realize, merchants associations don't often come in to oppose fellow merchants and to ask that their licenses be revoked. And I think that it really goes to the severity of this, the impact on the surrounding area and on the other merchants in this area. So the Merchants Association is requesting revocation of this license based on this violation. I know that we didn't go into a lot of detail in Officer Austin's report, but there are many, contrary to what Mr. Fogelman said, there are many details in this report that show that the licensees may have been aware of this illegal activity. I will point.
And they're already in evidence.
Yeah, I'll just highlight on page 5 of the report, the second paragraph says that the CDS was in plain sight.
I'm sorry, what's the objection?
Objection is relevance and the fact that it's already in evidence.
Well, she can, if it's in evidence, she can read from it, right? But let's do it briefly.
Sure. I'm certainly not going to read the whole report. I just wanted to highlight a few things, which was that the officer who was in charge of the raid said that the hoarding of CDS, this is maybe, I don't know, 8 lines down, was present and in plain sight in various locations. This includes the floor area of the register, the walk-in freezer, the storeroom. Any person working in this store could immediately and plainly see small Ziplocs of cocaine on the ground. The fact that it was lying on the ground for anyone to see highlights the lawlessness and fearlessness of the employees. Then at the bottom of page 5, the officer says that Utah Liquors is not plagued by drug crime. Instead, Utah Liquors is contributing to the drug crime.
That's an opinion.
It's argument in
it
a
is
police
an
report.
So, just want to make sure I'm bringing out all these details because they were not brought out earlier. There was
We did have an opportunity to review all this, though.
okay. Drugs underneath the licensee's chair where she was sitting. I just bring that up because Mr. Fogelman says that the licensee will be present at all times going forward. She was present during the raid. She's been present, and there were drugs underneath her chair during the raid. The licensee's presence has done nothing to interrupt this activity. Another thing that was said earlier is that the licensee gave an ex-con a chance. Well, all 4 of the employees in the store had felony convictions. All of the employees were convicted felons. And not to say that people should not be given a chance and hired, but it requires an extra level of supervision, especially in an area that is plagued with a lot of concerns. So again, the merchants are requesting revocation. They are concerned about this licensee being able to reopen. And I don't know if Ms. Mitchell has anything else that she'd like to add.
Once again, good morning. Yes, I'm just here to echo those sentiments and answer any questions you may have of the Merchants Association.
Well, let's see if Mr. Fogelman has questions for you all.
Actually, one of our board members and a nearby property owner is here as well.
Is he going to testify?
Yeah, I've already been sworn in.
Come on up and state your name, please.
My name is Robert Max. I actually own the property next door to this business. And, you know, as I'm sure you're well aware, there's a lot of drug problems down there, drug dealing, even out in public. And I just want to say that when I spoke to my tenant about this, after the store had closed and asked him if things had gotten better there, he said, well, one of the things that's happened is the people that were hanging out and dealing drugs at their store have now moved, you know, to other places around there. And as a former retailer, in fact, I had a retail business on right around the corner from there for many years. Their store's not that big. It's hard for me to imagine that you could be present and be the owner and not be aware of that kind of activity. So it's a concern for all the merchants there. We've all been working hard to try and clean that area up. We've had the police working hard on it, Lexington Market working hard on it, the business owners and property owners working hard at this. And quite frankly, I mean, we need the help to close down a business that really was contributing to making things worse down there for everybody else.
Do you have any questions for Mr. Max?
No, thank you.
Okay. Thank you, folks.
Just for Ms. Mitchell, though.
Okay,
Sorry.
go ahead.
And Ms. Mitchell, I did reach out to you at one point in an attempt to communicate with you about this case. Do you remember that?
Yes.
Okay. And to be fair, it's been a rough year for the market since we were last here. Isn't that right? With respect to the viral rat video and the drop in sales as a result thereof.
I don't work for Lexington Market,
Right.
and I don't think we're here to
No, but I
discuss
mean, in
that.
general, it's been a challenging time for that area, has it not?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Thank you, folks. So is there anything else? Mr.
Yes,
Fogelman?
indeed. So I can put Ms. Kim back on the stand.
Since you did most of the testifying, why don't you just tell us anyway?
Well, obviously, we do have a bit of a language barrier here. So, and this is the point. This is the point that they want to put on the license, that a licensee will be at the establishment at all times when the business is open, because Ms. Kim has young children, as I alluded to before, and she only visited the store once or twice a week for 3 to 4 hours at a time as she was raising children. And Mr. Ryu would try to be there, but he was also he was assisting a relative in Prince George's County who was opening
The other
a store.
licensees inactive?
That's correct. They're city residents only. So that's my point, is that, yeah, if she was there 60 hours a week and this went down, then that wouldn't be a solution to the problem. That was, in fact, the cause of the problem. And quite frankly, my client realizes now that if she was at the store more during this time, she would have likely discovered it and been able to prevent this activity from occurring. So it's important to note that the licensee has an unblemished history with no violations, nor in Baltimore County. This licensee spent 20 days in central booking, taken away from her children. They have their homes nearly gone into foreclosure. They have paid an enormous price, and they're willing to invest the energy and resources to, quite frankly, become the most compliant licensee in Baltimore City. No other time has a licensee or a law requires a licensee to be at the premises for it to be open in this jurisdiction. That's way above and beyond the law. Furthermore, they're the first ones to have hired a former city employee security consultant with best practices to help guide them through their reentry. For example, I try to think of a case that this board has heard that would even be equivalent to this. So I think of like the case of Banditos, where there was a stabbing involved with an underage person. And in that case, had the licensee gone to jail for 20 days, That would have been a heavy price to pay. To almost lose your house, to sell your insurance policies, there has already been the greatest price paid. And all they can do, just like the challenges of Lexington Market with the rat running through there and sales dropping, they need to get a chance to do it better and get it right. And they wrote letters. University of UMMS wrote a letter. They're not here today, but they were involved early on in this case. They've had a challenging year. They've got potentially ethically challenged board of directors. But what do? They get a chance to do it right and get it right and do it better. And so this small business who's paid a dear, dear price thus far for their conduct and are completely remorseful for this situation, they too ask for a chance to get it right, to do it better, and give them one chance to be the most compliant licensee in Baltimore City. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Commissioners have anything further?
No.
Okay. Thank you. With respect to the Rule 4.16 violation on March 26, 2018, I'd vote to revoke the license. With respect to the Rule 3.12 violation on March 26, 2018, it'd be the same. I would also vote to revoke their license.
While I am sympathetic to everyone involved here, I concur with the chair, and as to Rule 4.16 on March 26, 2018, I vote to revoke the license. And as to Rule 3.12, general welfare on March 26, 2018, I also vote to revoke the license on that, for that violation.
Given the police report, given the fact that the contraband was in plain sight, drugs, significant drugs, loaded shotgun, I too join my colleagues in revoking the license for under Rule 4.16, as well as revoking the license under Rule 3.12.
I'm sorry, it's not a happy thing to have to do, but we have no choice, I think, under these circumstances. Thank you.
Thank you.
Officers, thank you very much.
I'd call exhibits for the record. Board Exhibit 1, Baltimore City Police Department report, Officer Austin. Board Exhibit 2, search and seizure warrant. Board Exhibit 3, application for search and seizure warrant, Judge Bowles. Board Exhibit 4, application for search and seizure warrant, Judge Russell. Board Exhibit 5, lab report. Exhibit 6, true test copy court report. Exhibit 7, letter of opposition from Councilman President Jack Youngs dated 1/28/2019. Number 8, letter of opposition from Councilman Costello dated 1/25/2019. Exhibit 9, 4 letters of opposition from community. Opposition Exhibit 1, Baltimore City Police Department lab report, 3 total, Analysts Williams, Ray, and Armstrong. I'd like to see Exhibit 1, invoice.
Page, let's go. We've got a long docket.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. Savannah's Island Bar and Grill, 4017-19 Eastern Avenue. This is a Class BD7 beer, wine, and liquor license. Here for violation of Rule 3.12, General Welfare, on January the 26th, 2019. Violation of Rule 4.16, Illegal Conduct, January 26, 2019. Violation of Rule 4.18, small a, alterations, on January the 10th, 2019. Violation of Rule 4.17, small a, storage, on January the 10th, 2019. Please come forward.
Are you representing these licensees, Mr.?
I'm here for the purchaser of the licensing. I went to Nelson. They settled in December, indicating they didn't have permission to do what they did.
Okay. Please raise your right hands, all those who are going to testify.
Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do. Okay.
Can I go on the record?
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, I have to recuse myself from this matter. Thank you.
Thank you. So the other commissioner and I will hear the case. So are you Mr. Glanville?
Yes.
Okay. So
James Glanville.
and you, ma'am? I can't. Okay. Did you get that, Bryson? Yes. Okay. So There are 4 violations charged, 2 on January 26th and 2 on January 10th. Do you admit or deny these violations?
Deny, Your Honor.
Okay, let's, who's going to testify?
Agent Kristen Mitchell, Baltimore City Liquor Board. The Executive Secretary assigned me to initiate an investigation based on the activities of 7310 Park Heights Avenue on January 26, 2019, while using the liquor license from 4017 through 19 Eastern Avenue, Savannah's Island Bar and Grill. After reviewing the police report from the primary officer, Charles Smith, sequence number J274, it was determined that several liquor boards criminal violations were committed. I spoke to Ken from the Temple, and he stated to me that he was present at the location approximately 45 minutes before the party ended. He stated that the music was turned off at 10:45 and the event ended at 11. He stated to me that they took the party to the lawn where a fight broke between 6 to 10 people, mostly females. I asked him who the promoter was, and he responded to me that it was Rod Butler. I asked Ken who the security company working that night, and he stated to me that the promoter had hired the security. I contacted Mr. Butler, the promoter. Mr. Butler insisted that it was a birthday party and that nothing happened. After realizing that Mr. Butler was not going to be cooperative with my investigation, I requested from him the security company and contact information, which he provided, and I ended my call with him. I contacted Greer Protective Services to verify that they were the company responsible for the security services that night of the question. I spoke to Mr. Charles Greer, and he told me that approximately 20 security officers, including the officer from Montgomery County Police Department, who is referenced in Officer Smith's report, having used his taser as a method to break up the fight. The taser was, however, not used on any individual. I asked the security company if they patrolled inside, and they responded that they did. I asked them if they allowed the smoking of marijuana inside the venue. The response that I received was that the actions were not observed. Mr. Greer did acknowledge that the disturbance outside with a number of females fighting. He also acknowledged that the off-duty officer was working for his agency at the time of the incident. Contacted Ms. Rosario, who is the applicant for the transfer of the new owner of the building, and the building owner. Ms. Rosario stated to me that the building was a complete shell, and she is renovating the building, and that there's currently closed, and she has no knowledge that the license was being used as a catering event. I also spoke to Mr. Glanville, who is the husband of the licensee. Mr. Glanville stated to me that he had committed a mistake, and that he had signed a contract for the event prior to the quick sale of the business in the building. After my investigation, I come to the conclusion of the following facts. Public welfare was at risk with the events that took place at the Temple. Renovations were conducted at the licensed establishment without permission from the board. Illegal storing of alcohol. Current owner of the building stated, along with Inspector Perez's report, that the building is vacant and in shell-like form. Violation of health code for allowing smoking inside the venue. Unauthorized use of catering since the establishment was closed and not operating. Attached, I have included police reports from PPD, inspector reports from Inspector Chase and Inspector Perez. And the officer on the left was the primary on the scene that night.
Do you have any questions for this gentleman?
Not him, Your Honor.
Okay, please.
My name is Charles Smith, Charles Smith. I'm a sergeant assigned to Northwestern District.
What did you want to tell us, Sergeant?
So this entire incident was captured on my body-worn camera, which was tagged under the central complaint number, which is 61901095518. On January 26, 2019, at approximately 10:43 p.m., I was advised by Officer Johnson, who was the desk officer at Northwestern District, that City Councilman Schliefer was requesting that I respond as the shift commander to the 7200 block of Park Heights Avenue in reference to disorderly conduct. When I arrived, Councilman Schliefer was present. He advised that numerous motor vehicles were illegally parked in no parking zones in front of fire hydrants and bus stops. He further stated that he was receiving numerous complaints from his constituents concerning loud noise and public fights arising from a private party which was being hosted inside of Temple Oheb Shalom, located at 7310 Park Heights. Councilman Schliefer advised me that intoxicating liquors were being served at this event and requested that the police department inspect the venue and determine whether or not liquor law violations were occurring. Councilman Schliefer showed me an advertisement for the event on a site called Eventbrite, which was entitled Birthday Celebration for Rod Sounds by Supa DB Big, hosted by Tay Rock. The event advertised free drinks and required that patrons pay a fee for tickets. While on scene with the councilman, I observed scores of vehicles illegally parked on Park Heights Avenue. I further observed vehicles to be engaged in illegal speed contests and driving recklessly exiting the event. You could hear screaming and sounds of fighting from over a 2-block area. I requested that Patrolman Dow and Patrolman Mim, who were 2 of my subordinates, respond to the location to assist me. Upon their arrival, I instructed them to begin ticketing the vehicles illegally parked in the 72 and 7300 blocks of Park Heights Avenue. Once Officers Dow and Mim began ticketing vehicles, patrons emerged in large numbers and began to move their vehicles and vacate the area. I then ordered Officers Dow and Mim to follow me into the venue, where I made contact with 2 women. First identified herself as Miss Nakia Dennis. She stated that she rented the venue for a birthday party. Ms. Dennis refused to present identification or provide further identifying information. The second person identified herself as Ms. Shannon Glanville, date of birth in February of '78. Ms. Glanville stated she was the caterer and presented to me a photocopy of a Baltimore City liquor license, number Lincoln Boy David 233. The trade name listed on the liquor license was Savannah's Island Bar and Grill. The address present was 4017-19 Eastern Avenue. While walking through the location, I was overwhelmed by the odor of burnt marijuana. Tobacco shavings were present on the floors and all over the furniture. Based on my observations, it was clear that a large number of individuals had consumed marijuana during the event. The synagogue was littered with trash and empty alcoholic beverage containers. Officer Dow approached me and advised that while speaking with persons present in the venue, that he was advised that unlicensed gambling had taken place during the event. An open bar was present from which intoxicating liquors were served. After exiting the venue, I once again made contact with Councilman Schliefer. Councilman Schliefer asked me to identify a man he stated had deployed a taser electronic control weapon against multiple disorderly individuals throwing beer bottles in the roadway in front of the venue. Councilman Schliefer also advised that this individual was operating a dark blue or purple Honda Accord. Check of MVA records revealed that this vehicle does not come back on file with MVA. I spoke to this individual, who identified himself as Detective Good of the Montgomery County Police Department. Detective Good was wearing a tactical vest labeled police and was wearing a full gun belt. I informed Detective Good that Councilman Schliefer wanted to speak with him, and Detective Good agreed to speak with Councilman Schliefer. Detective Good spoke with Councilman Schliefer, stating that he sparked his taser multiple times while dispersing an unruly crowd throwing bottles, but never actually made contact with any person during any of these deployments. Councilman Schliefer showed me a video that he took of various individuals engaged in mutual affray, along with Detective Good deploying his taser in spark mode. I advised Councilman Schliefer that a report would be authored in reference to this incident as he requested. Councilman Schliefer was provided with Form 309 electronically, which is a copy of the police report. Do you have any questions for me, folks?
Have any questions?
Yes, you said that you spoke with Shannon Glanville that night?
Yes.
And that you positively identified her?
That's who she stated she was, and she
You said the ID was given?
yes, along with the date of birth.
I'm Shannon Glanville, and I've never met you before.
Okay.
Today. And if they gave your driver's license, my date of birth is December 77.
Okay. Do you have any idea who had a copy of your liquor license?
We do not know who
that went on.
Nakia Dennis is,
Okay.
and Shannon Glanville wasn't even at the location. So I'm not sure, if someone provided a valid, the Shannon Glanville that was there, did she give a valid ID? Did she show an ID at all?
She gave me the name of Shannon Glanville and provided her date of birth. When I ran it through my dispatcher, it came back as being valid and that there was a corresponding identification number associated with it. Being that I was inside, I don't have a computer to be able to see MVA records. But what she gave me came back, according to my dispatcher, as being real and authentic.
Okay.
Give you my driver's license.
Well, that's beside the point. Who was
I don't know.
supervising this event for Savannah's?
Normally, we had a contract with Deborah Mogul, who was the person who handles the OHEB Shalom contracts. I've done business with them for over a year. They didn't know that it was my mistake. I didn't go and tell them that we were closed for business. But we've always maintained a normal business with them for over a year, no problems at all. Whoever Nakia Dennis is, I do not know. I do not know which Miss Shannon Glanville was there. It wasn't us. It was, like I said, it was just a mistake on my part. I didn't tell them. We had a quick sale to got through. We sold the business and closed everything down. This liquor license, they still had a copy of the ongoing liquor license. We used to we constantly do business there with them, and they weren't selling alcohol per se, like bottle for bottle or glass alcohol. It was included in, so there was no money transaction at all. Only thing we did was oversee that. That was it. But as far, I don't even know who these people are. And it was, and like I said, it was a mistake on my part for not notifying the Oheb Shalah that we were out of business.
When did you go out of business?
December. The business was sold December 17th of 2018. And that.
Mr. Kansky, do you have the purchaser as your client?
December 7th is the date of the settlement sheets.
Settlement.
Okay. So your testimony, Mr. Glanville, is that someone had a copy of your license and used it to perpetrate all of this?
Yeah, I do not know, Your Honor. I do not know who Nakia Dennis is, who notified themselves as the organizer. I've never heard or seen her in my life. I don't even know who that is, and I don't know which Shannon Glanville was there, because this is the only Shannon Glanville that I know, and she was working.
But do you recognize this lady?
Oh, she's not the one. The one who was there was darker skinned.
Okay. Before we finish, Inspector Perez, you were the one who dealt with the alterations and storage issues?
No, sir.
No?
Andy Perez, Baltimore City Liquor Board. Here to testify about the alterations that were done on the premise.
Yeah, that's what I asked you about.
Yes.
Yeah, go ahead.
January 10th, approximately 9:30 p.m., visited the location. I found that there were no walls, floors, or ceiling at the establishment, and a large construction dumpsters outside. There were no operations at that time of the business.
There were no operations?
No.
You mean they were not functioning?
No, it was not operable.
So were we aware that it had been sold, the license?
I don't know. I can't answer that question.
Okay. Maybe somebody can explain what's going on. I don't know what's going on in this case.
Mr. Page or Mr. Akris?
You swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do. Thomas Akris, Deputy Executive Secretary, Baltimore City Liquor Board. Inspector Perez went out to the location to make a determination if the establishment was operating. We had received word from one of our inspectors, Inspector Chase, who had made observations of the location stating that it was inoperable, that there was major construction work going on, and that would be in violation of the alterations rule and regulation, because we had not, the liquor board had not been informed of the matter. Inspector Perez went out to follow up on Inspector Chase's observations because it's Inspector Perez's district. When he went there, he performed inspection, and as he stated, he found dumpster, no ceiling, no roof. It was inoperable. So there are major renovations and alterations going on regarding the distribution of alcoholic beverages, which we weren't made aware of. Hence, we charged alterations.
And would we have any reason to know that this license had been sold?
At the time, we did not. That's the whole point of the alterations piece, is that there would be a memo or a letter from Mr. Glanville, the current licensee, informing the board, I've sold the property and or it's undergoing renovations, something from maybe the attorney representing the purchaser, providing us that information as well. But we received none of that.
Your Honor, I didn't know I had to send a memo in. I apologize about that. Okay. I had no idea. The renovations, obviously, the building was sold, so I haven't even been over there since the building was sold, so I didn't even know anything that was going on. But it was my mistake. I didn't send a memo in. I apologize.
So, Mr. Kadensky, can you shed any light on the situation? Because we got to move on.
Yes, as they say, the plot thickens. Mr. Rosario is here, bought the license in the building and settled on December 10th. I have copies of the settlement sheets along with the license was bought. Shortly thereafter, she was going to do not only a renovation there, a complete renovation of the whole building. She has the permits were approved by the city. She had filed an application for transfer along with new plans. And actually, the bar area is going to be smaller than it was before. That application was filed sometime early in January, and the application is now pending. There was no liquor on the premises, and she had no knowledge that this event was taking place.
Was the application pending on January 10th?
I'm not sure when it was actually filed. I don't have the file with me. It was close to that.
It was in early January.
Early January, so we weren't sure. And
I don't know her name. I don't know if she's
Norma Rosario.
Norma Rosario.
She was sworn. Okay. So let me ask the sergeant, was anybody charged criminally with as a result of the January 26th event? And, okay, and why not?
Because number one, possession of less than 10 grams of marijuana is no longer a crime. Second, with the number of people there, and I said this on scene with the camera, we got there towards the end of the event when people started clearing out. Based on what I saw, if we had gotten there during peak times and tried to enforce the law, there would have been a major riot, and not every policeman on duty in the city would have been enough to stop it with our staffing levels. There was no point.
Well, is there, I mean, it seems to me that someone at the temple should have some responsibility for running an event when they didn't have a valid license.
I have no argument with that.
Okay, I don't know. Questions?
So, Mr. Akris, as far as the board knows, at January 26th, January 10th, the current licensees were Shannon Glanville and Loris Glanville.
Correct. Today, they still are Shannon
They're
Glanville.
still the licensees.
Yes.
All right, just want to make sure that's clear.
Your Honor, the license was mailed in. We gave everything back. We sent everything. We sent the license and everything in.
When?
That was mailed in, I think, about a couple weeks ago.
March.
Okay, so I don't have any other questions.
Okay.
But, Your Honor, was there any citations issued to anybody that night in reference to the
Doesn't
event?
sound like it.
Only parking citations.
How many citations? Do you have a copy of them?
No.
Was there any moving violations?
No.
So when you found out that all this happened, did you contact the temple and ask them what the heck was going on?
Yeah, I tried. I contacted the person who handled that for us at the time. She gave vague information. I do have when we do things there, the only person that has a license was a employee of Savannah's Island Bar Grill by the name of Latrice King. She was the only person that would have access to the license. She was our licensed bartender. She's the one that handles all our ordering in reference to events that happen outside of Savannah's. No, she did not. No, she did not. Her name is not in anything. I spoke to her. She's no longer. She's now involved in the R. Kelly case. She's one of the victims of R. Kelly's assault. So she's not even talking to anyone at this point. I couldn't get through, so she literally.
Wonderful world we live in, isn't it?
You just do, this lady bought the place on December the 10th. She settled, they gave her the liquor license. She has no parts in anything.
I didn't think she did.
The application is pending to be transferred. It's being held up because of this. I can't get a renewal signed by the current licensees, so we're sort of, treading water here. So whatever the board would decide regarding the current licensees that are on there, they've got all their money. If you decide to do whatever you're gonna do, I don't want it to affect her to say you can't transfer the license because of something the prior licensee did.
Okay.
Current licensee.
Current.
Yes.
They mailed the
Mr. Chairman.
license in, so they didn't renew it, so I don't know what the status.
Current licensee, Mr. Chairman. License year ends April 30th.
Right.
I'm sorry, I'm lost. What's the problem?
No, I was using the wrong verbiage, I'm sorry.
Oh.
It's still valid to April 30th.
They're the current licensees.
Okay. Well, I don't know what to do with this. So I don't understand why we don't know how this event occurred on January 26th without a proper license, but we don't. All we have is his testimony that they didn't know about it. So I don't think I'm able to find a violation of 3.12 on January 26 or 4.16 on January 26. I do find a violation of Rule 4.18 small a on January 10 and a violation of Rule 4.17 small a on January 10. Licensee has priors for sales to minor last year and several years ago, general welfare. I would impose a $1,000 fine as to each of those for a total of $2,000. I give them 30 days to pay.
Your Honor, could I get some clarity on that?
Not done yet. I concur with the chair. There's no evidence. It's unclear how this event came to be, and it's just unclear. And I'm not prepared either to make a finding as to 3.12 general welfare on January 26, 2019, and 4.16 illegal conduct on January 26, 2019 as well. And I do agree. I do find a violation of Rule 4.18A, small a, alterations January 10, 2019, and I concur with the imposition of $1,000 fine. And I also find a violation of Rule 4.17, small a, on January 10, 2019. I concur with the imposition of a $1,000 fine. As far as the board understands, these are the current licensees, and they are responsible for those two violations.
Yes. Did you have a question?
Yeah, so I'm responsible for the dumpster in front of the building that was sold?
Yes.
Yes. You didn't notify us, and we had no knowledge that you had sold it.
Okay, Your Honor.
Thank you. Next case.
I call Zippers for the record. Board Exhibit 1, Investigation Report, Agent Kristen Mitchell. Board Exhibit 2, Baltimore City Police Department Report, Sergeant Smith. Board Exhibit 3, Investigation Report, Inspector Perez. Board Exhibit 4, Compliance Report dated 1/14/2019. Exhibit 5, Compliance Report dated 1/10/2019. Exhibit 6, Compliance Report dated 1/8/2019. Exhibit 7, License Copies. Thank you.
Page.
John Ritz Tavern and Grill, 1508 West Saratoga Street. This is a Class BD7 beer, wine, and liquor license here for violation of 3.08 small b, sanitation and safety on February the 6th, 2019. Please come forward.
Oh, there it is. Okay, please raise your right hands.
Swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give.
Yes, I do.
Are you Ms. McNeely?
Yes.
Okay. Verita
Yes.
McNeely. Okay. And you are charged with having trash at the establishment on February 6, 2019. Do you admit or deny that?
So I want to deny.
Well, you can. Okay. So, Inspector Perez, go ahead.
Inspector Perez, Baltimore City Liquor Board. On February 6, 2019, approximately 6:15 p.m., I, Inspector Perez, visited Ritz Tavern and Grill located at 1508 West Saratoga Street for the purpose of conducting a routine inspection. Upon arrival, I found the establishment closed. After conducting a walkthrough of the establishment exterior, I observed several trash bags piled up against the establishment sidewalls. I found the establishment in violation of the rules and regulations for not providing containers to properly dispose trash from their business operations.
Okay, Ms. McNeely, you can ask the inspector questions.
So,
Can you talk into the microphone, though, because we're recording?
Perez, is that your name? So, do you have any photographs of the bags?
Yes, I do.
Okay. And, right. So, do you have, did you go through the bags to see? And the reason why I'm asking is because in that alleyway, which is a street, Parish Street, really, it looks like an alley, but it's a street, there's always people that are throwing trash out. And I usually, our operation, we don't put our trash out. I've had a contract with Waste Management for...
Before you go any further, may we see the picture? I don't have a sense of where we were.
Over 20 years, and the only reason why I'm not sure about that is because I don't put the trash out.
What do you mean you don't put your trash out?
I personally don't put it out. So normally it's my husband, and my husband has been actually sick for a while. And so we've had a guy to help us, and during that time period, I have been not open fully. I've been open like a few days during the week. So that looks like an awful lot of trash to be coming directly from me. But I had a dumpster with Waste Management for like over 20 years, and actually, I'm still got an account with them. I brought my bill. So normally, that's where we dispose of our trash. So if that is my trash, I would say that the guy that we asked during that time when my husband wasn't well to put it out, he didn't understand that he couldn't put it out.
Inspector Perez, did you talk to anybody when you were out there?
No, there was no one to talk
Closed.
to. It was closed.
Yeah, we were closed that day. And actually, I looked up the date, and that was like the day before the city trash. So I'm just not claiming it, but if it is mine, I
hear
think the
you.
gentleman.
So tell me this: are you going to be opening?
No,
regularly
we've been
anytime
open. We just haven't been open like consistently.
But are you, Is your husband better, or are you going to be able
Oh no,
to do
he's
that?
better now. During that time, that was like February.
But
he was
are
sick.
you now open consistently?
Yes,
And
we're
What are you doing with your trash?
I'm sorry.
What are you doing with your trash now?
Well, we so we working with Waste Management right now to bring our dumpster. We had a dumpster with them for like 20 years, and people kept putting trash in it, filling it up before we could. So we had to put another container out there. So what happened is we put a lock on it, and they broke it. So I asked Waste Management to replace the dumpster with another receptacle to lock it. And I think during that time,
Does the city get notified of this or anything so somebody can come and get it?
No.
Okay. But I guess it was picked up at some point. I don't know.
Yeah, we never have trash.
So, Ms. McNeely, here's the deal.
Okay.
You've had this license since 1992, and you've
Yes.
never had a violation, and it sounds like there might have been a mistake. But I'm going to cut you a break. I'm going to dismiss this. I'd vote to dismiss the violation this one time. Just be careful in the future. But I'll see if the commissioners agree with me.
Okay.
It is a good record, and it does sound like it was a mistake. I agree to dismiss the violation.
And I too would agree to dismiss this one time. You've had the license for a long time, but please understand that even if it's not your trash, because it's next to your property, you're responsible. So.
Right.
Yeah, I just want to be clear. I mean, I believe that Inspector Perez told us exactly what he saw and that it was there, but I just think you're entitled to one error in all these years, so.
Thank you. Thank you. I was hoping.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you all.
I'd like to call exhibits to the record. Board Exhibit 1, investigation report, Inspector Perez.
Okay. Brown Girls Restaurant, 3539 Bel Air Road. This is a Class B beer, wine, and liquor license, an application for a new Class B restaurant license under Article 12-1603, small c, number 2, small I, 200,000 in capital investments, seating capacity for 75, requesting off-premise catering and delivery of alcoholic beverages. Please come forward.
Counsel?
Abraham Hurlbaff of Sharnetta Mayo and Brown Girls LLC, located at 3539 Bel Air Road.
Okay, and you want to tell us about it?
Ms. Mayo has got about 15 years in the industry. They're not going to be offering live entertainment at this time. They may look for a zoning change at some point and then look to modify the license with another hearing. At this time, they're just looking for the off-premises catering and delivery. Ms. Mayo has a couple of bids out at the moment for some significant renovations, and she's been doing some of those renovations herself at the time. Business will be done on the first floor. Storage of alcohol will be in the basement. She knows that she has to order only from wholesalers, not to serve anybody under 40 without ID. And she's very excited about this opportunity and a little bit nervous today.
I understand you're nervous, ma'am, but I forgot to swear you. Do you mind raising your right hand?
Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, sir.
And did you say you've been in this business before?
Yes, for over 15 years.
Okay. So you understand all our rules and regulations?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And you spoke with people from,
I've actually met with the Home Association last Thursday, and they are totally
Bel Air Edison community?
Bel Air Edison. They are totally. They really wanted to see me open, and they are.
They say they're not contesting it.
Yeah,
so.
they're not contesting it. Yes, sir.
Okay. Commissioners have questions?
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Is this a new license, Mr.
This will be a new B, that's correct.
New B, so is there an investment?
She has not made the capital investment in full at this point because she hasn't been granted the license possibility. I always discourage clients from spending $200,000+ before a license has been authorized in some capacity. She's been talking with some contractors, including one that I'm familiar with, and she has a couple of bids. The bids exceed $300,000 to my knowledge.
So, and my understanding, is that we won't release the license until the investment.
Correct, that you would get invoices of some
Right.
nature, is my
Okay, I
understanding.
just wanted to
yes.
make sure.
Okay. And then what about the seating requirement?
She has, I believe, it's over 75 seats and less than 125. I think there's a drawing on page 4 or 5 of her application. I do have a copy that was printed out from this morning. It's not an architectural drawing, but she, again, didn't want to have the architect do anything yet. And the kitchen's actually in the building. I think this is just a,
I mean, I understand that she hasn't begun the construction.
Sure.
But she's aware that that's the minimum requirement, 75 seats.
the location is actually pretty substantial. I don't think she wants to have a lot of capacity in excess of the 120. But it's a nice facility. I think your mom or you own the building, correct?
Yes, my mom, she's over here. We own the building outright.
Yeah. They've been waiting for some time to do this. We've been in discussions more or less in the past as well.
Okay. Anything further? All right, thank you. On the basis of the materials contained in the application, the proffers from counsel and testimony received, as well as the letter of no opposition, I would vote to approve the application for a new Class B beer, wine, liquor restaurant license with off-premise catering and delivery of alcoholic beverages.
I concur and vote to approve the application of new Class B beer, wine, liquor with off-premise catering and delivery of alcoholic beverages, with the understanding that the license won't be released until we have final documents.
I too would concur. I would concur with my colleagues in approving the new Class B beer, wine, and liquor restaurant license with off-premise catering and delivery of alcoholic beverages.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you, Commissioners. Will you be excused?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank
Close
you.
this for the record. Board Exhibit 1, email support dated 3/29/2019.
Bird in hand, 11 East 33rd Street. This is a Class B beer, wine, and liquor license. An application for a new Class B beer, wine, and liquor restaurant license under Article 12-1603, small c, number 1, II, $200,000 in capital investment. Minimum seating capacity 75, requesting outdoor table service and off-premise catering. Please come forward.
Good morning, Stephen W. Fogelman on behalf of applicant.
Good morning. Ladies, will you raise your right hands, please?
Swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
All right, thank you very much. Bird in Hand is an existing cafe, literary cafe, and it is to be taken over by Emma Snyder, who is the current owner of the Ivy Bookshop at 6080 Falls Road.
I've seen her here more than I've seen her at the bookstore lately.
She even surprised me when she was here last time. So, I was an English major at a college in Virginia, and if I hadn't gone to law school, I always wondered what I'd do. Hopefully, I would have been like Miss Snyder. She worked as the executive director of the Penn Faulkner Foundation in Washington, D.C. She is an expert in all things William Faulkner and knows so much about Southern lit, and it's very interesting stuff. She's well qualified in the literary part, and she is indeed ready to take over a retail part with respect to the sale of alcoholic beverages. She's joined by Emily Rosen, who will be the initial general manager. Ms. Rosen has already been alcohol management certified. Unfortunately, I only have one copy of that, so I'd ask that that be placed in the file.
Yes. Thank you. Related to Mark?
No.
Okay, just curious.
So, and Ms. Rosen is currently, has spent 2 years working at Parts and Labor at 2600 North Howard Street. So she has some alcohol management experience. She lives a 10-minute walk from the restaurant, which is always good when you're hands-on GM. Let me go ahead and submit the menu. I have 5.
I'm sorry, is this a new or a transfer?
This is a new license in an existing liquor-free restaurant.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, now I get it.
So here's the menu for Bird in Hand. It's a current menu.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
They only expect the sale of alcoholic beverages to be a small percentage of their income. But like as in most places, it is an accommodation to their customers who desire to have a beverage. Finally, and these new license cases are hard on a little copier, so I've got, and the trees, so I've got 3 copies of the budget showing over $329,000 already invested in the property, in fixtures, furnishings, and equipment. And I'll just ask one of the commissioners to share that.
I'm glad.
with-
I'd be happy to share, Mr. Fogelman.
Thank you.
Yes.
Give mine.
Not as fascinating as Faulkner.
He's an Absalom fan, so.
There you go.
I wouldn't know how to spell that.
And you know, the sound and the fury of the lawyer is nothing, but the MOU is everything. And I want to make sure you have that in your file. Great.
Okay, and the MOU is with?
The Charles Village Civic Association. And we have Ms. Snyder can come up real briefly, testify. Ms. Snyder, you have 75 seats, isn't that right?
We do.
That does not include bar seats, and that does not include outdoor tables, is that
That is
right?
true.
All right, thank you.
And are you willing to have the terms of the MOU be a restriction on your license?
Yes.
Anything else?
No, thank you.
Commissioners?
No questions.
Seating, Mr. Fogelman, seating is?
75 seats.
75 seats, okay. No questions, no further questions.
All right, thank you. On the basis then of the materials contained in the application, the proffers from council, testimony received, and the exhibits received, including the memorandum of understanding with the Charles Village Civic Association, I would vote to approve the application for a new Class B beer, wine, liquor, restaurant license with outdoor table service and off-premise catering, subject to the terms of the MOU to the extent they're enforceable by law.
I concur and vote to approve the new Class B beer, wine, liquor restaurant license with outdoor table service and off-premise catering, subject to the terms of the MOU to the extent it's enforceable by law.
I join my colleagues in approving the new Class B beer, wine, and liquor restaurant license with outdoor table service and off-premise catering, subject to the terms of the MOU to the extent it's enforceable by law. Good luck.
Good luck, thanks.
Thank you very much.
I'd like to call exhibits for the record. Board Exhibit 1, letter of support from Charles Village Civic Association. Board Exhibit 2, MOU. Board Exhibit 3, floor plan. Applicant Exhibit 1, alcohol awareness certification. Exhibit 2, menu. Exhibit 3, budget.
I need to write mine down, too.
Mr. Page?
482 South Bentelow Street. This is a Class BD7 beer, wine, and liquor license, an application to transfer ownership. Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, the address of 482 South Bentelow Street was issued notice on 5/17/18 from Housing Community Development for the new zoning standards as relate to taverns.
Council?
Abraham Hurdle on behalf of 3K Partners. With me is Ms. Williams, and this is located at 482 South Bentelow Street.
Ms. Woods, would you raise your right hand, please?
You swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Okay, what do we have at transfer?
If I may proffer?
Yes.
It's a transfer of an existing BD7 at an existing location. The purchase price of the business was $120,000. There's some payments over the next few years that Ms. Williams will be making to the seller. They've applied for a use permit. It's a current and existing permitted use. It's a current use at the moment. There is some concern about the ongoing zoning changes. This is a license that will have predominant sales in premises as opposed to for off-premises sales, so there shouldn't be any issues with regards to that zoning concern. Ms. Williams has got over 10 years of experience helping in and around the bar. She understands that she has to use wholesalers for all purchases, not to sell to minors. She has taken the alcohol awareness class. She did chastise me a little bit earlier for not asking her to bring her copy of the permit.
Did you pass?
For the license.
Yes, I got a 96.
She did very well. And at this time, we would ask you to approve the transfer.
Okay, Commissioners, do you have questions?
No questions.
No questions.
All right, thank you. On the basis then of the materials contained in our application, the proffer from council and testimony received, I would vote to approve the transfer.
I concur and vote to approve the transfer.
I vote to approve the transfer.
Good luck.
Will you be excused?
Yeah.
Thank you and have a good day.
Thank you.
No exhibits.
OK Tavern, 2301 East Biddle Street. This is a Class BD7 beer, wine, and liquor license, transfer of ownership. Please come forward. Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, the address of 2301 East Biddle Street received notice on 5/17/18 from the zoning department regarding the new zoning standards as relates to taverns.
Counsel?
If Commissioner, please, Frank Schullis, representing the applicant.
Good morning. Would you all raise your right hands, please?
You swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Mr.
Gentlemen,
Charles?
please, this is a transfer of an existing BD7. It's been in the family some time, and Miss Cho, I'm sorry, yeah, Miss Cho, has made application to transfer it into her name because it was her husband who died, and then her sons, who are now moving on, and she has to operate it. She is alcohol certified.
Thank you.
That's a copy of her certificate. And this is Ms. Diaz, who is the resident Baltimore City resident. The operation is existing, it's at the same location. Ms. Cho lives at the premises now.
Did you work there as well while your husband and sons ran it?
She worked there on occasion, very rare occasions, but she has been there.
And is she going to run it herself or hire people to
She
do
is going to run it herself, and she'll have somebody work with her.
And is she's aware of the zoning issue?
Yes, she is aware of the zoning issues.
Okay. I guess since they've had it for some time. Okay. Commissioners have questions?
No questions.
No questions.
Okay, thank you. On the basis then of the materials contained in the application, proffers from counsel, and testimony in the exhibit, I would vote to approve the transfer.
Thank you.
I concur and vote to approve the transfer of this license.
I vote to approve the transfer.
Good luck.
Good luck.
I call exhibit for the record, applicant exhibit 1, alcohol awareness certification.
Curly's Liquors, 5200 Reisterstown Road. This is a Class A beer, wine, and liquor license, an application to transfer ownership. Please come forward.
Good morning. Jay, you represent the applicants?
Morning. Would the ladies raise their right hands, please?
You swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Mr. Yu?
Thank you. This is, if I may proffer, this is a request for transfer. It's a stock transfer, the manner of transfer, the stock transfer. Miss Maria is going to be the 99% transferee. So Mr. Chuma, who's actually here present today, he's the seller. He's the 99% owner. So he's transferring his interest to Miss Maria. Miss Peoples, who's currently the licensee, who's the 1% shareholder, she's going to remain 1% shareholder, and she's going to remain on the license. So Miss Maria and Miss Peoples, they were both employees at the place since 2015 when Mr. Chuma purchased the business. Miss Maria has been consistently working there, and she's still working there. She's been employed there for 3 years, and Mr. Chuma found a better opportunity down the street. So he sold, he signed a contract to sell his interest to Miss Maria now that she's been working there for 3 years and gained experience, and this opportunity came along to purchase into the business that she wants to make an opportunity to be owner of a business. So that's why we're here. Ms. Maria has clean record. She does not have any serious traffic or criminal record. She has no violations under her name. Same as Ms. Peoples, and she's a resident in the neighborhood. And she
Looks like the place has no recent violations either. So.
Not sure about that. So Ms. Maria, I believe, is qualified. So we request that the transfer be approved.
Okay.
And I take it Ms. Maria is alcohol awareness certified.
Oh, They will be certified shortly, both Ms. Peoples and Ms. Maria, and I'll submit that.
Are you going to be the only one working there?
No, I'm gonna have employees.
I'm gonna be still working there.
Oh, you work there now too as well. Full-time or part-time?
Part-time right now.
Okay.
I work full-time.
So if you hire people, you will manage them and make sure they understand all the rules and regulations?
Yes.
Okay. Questions?
No question.
No
All right, thank you. On the basis then of the materials contained in the application, proffers from council, and the testimony, I would vote to approve the transfer.
I concur and vote to approve the transfer.
I vote to approve the transfer.
Thank you.
Good luck, man.
Thank you.
Good luck.
For the record.
Civil 518 North Charles Street. This is a Class B beer, wine, and liquor license application to transfer ownership with continuation of live entertainment, requesting off-premise catering. Please come forward.
For the record, Melvin Jakinensky representing the applicants.
Good afternoon. Ladies, would you raise your right hands, please?
Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
This is a transfer of a location from a secured creditor. I don't know if you know where it is, right before Mount Vernon. It's a real nice building that's over there, and right next to it has a big parking lot, so they have their own parking. They have met with the Mount Vernon Belvedere Association. I'll give you a copy. I don't know if you don't have it, a copy of the letter in favor. They also have a memorandum of understanding, which they'll agree to be bound by, that was signed. I think I just got it today, so it's hot off the press. Yes.
Oh, okay, thanks.
And then, in addition to that, I'll give you a copy of the menu that they're using, which is very nice. In fact, around this time of day, it's very nice to have a menu. And then lastly, but not less important, they're having other employees because of the being conscious of sale to minors, have signed that they're cognizant of the fact that they're have to serve people over 21. You have the licensee, two managers here. The two managers have over 20 years and close to that worth of experience. They'll all be on the premises. They're going to be alcohol certified, and they'll see to it that they get some of the other people certified. They'll have about 15 employees that's going to work there. And the hours of operation are set out in the form that's there, and actually they're in there working, getting ready to go.
So what's in the great cookie?
So that was like a.
You gotta speak up, you're not gonna hear you.
So yeah, that one is
Your
like
name?
I'm sorry, Chanel Wright.
Okay.
So that one is like a chocolate chip cookie, and the way we originally planned it was to
Now,
put.
Ms. Wright, don't give out too much information.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. Okay.
Being recorded, so we
Okay.
want to make
so
sure
it's,
that you.
it's just a huge chocolate chip cookie.
Ice cream.
Yes, with ice cream.
Famous Amos will be here with it.
And I have one other question. Why did you choose the name The Civil?
It rolled well off the tongue.
Oh,
It
okay.
sounded like, just,
Okay.
and it looked good in lettering. We wanted something like short, not too much, and yeah.
Okay.
So,
Any questions?
No questions.
No questions.
Okay. And are you willing to have the terms of your memorandum of understanding be a limitation on your license?
absolutely.
Okay. Thank you. Then, on the basis of the materials contained in the application, the proffers from council, the exhibits received, testimony received, I'd vote to approve the transfer of ownership with continuation, live entertainment, and off-premise catering.
I concur.
Subject to the terms of the MOU to the extent enforceable by law.
Exactly.
I concur, and I vote to approve the transfer of ownership with continuation of live entertainment and off-premise catering, subject to the terms of the MOU to the extent that is enforceable by law.
I join my colleagues in approving the transfer of ownership with continuation of live entertainment and off-premise catering, subject to the MOU to the extent it's enforceable by law.
Save me a cookie.
Good luck.
Will do. Stop that. Thank you.
Like all exhibits for the record, Board Exhibit 1, letter of support from Mount Vernon Belvedere Association. I'm sorry, applicant Exhibit 1. Applicant Exhibit 2, MOU. Applicant Exhibit 3, menu. Applicant Exhibit 3, 4, employee sales to minor agreement.
Shipyard Pub, 3500 O'Donnell Street. This is a Class BD7 beer, wine, and liquor license, an application to transfer ownership. Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, the address of 3500 O'Donnell Street was issued notification from Housing and Community Development on 5/17/18 regarding the new zoning standards as it relates to taverns. Thank you.
For the record, Melvin J. Kudensky representing the applicant and current licensee. It's been here a couple of times with his other partner. They've been running into a lot of problems regarding getting the building finished, approved, and getting the permits, and also with the landlord. So they had to form another corporation, but it's all the same people, all same approved. And you should have got a letter from the Canton Improvement Association.
Ms. Russell, do we have?
Well, he has it on his phone if you want to see it, but I looked at it myself. They sent
No,
me
I don't think you would lie to us.
voluntarily.
So-
Under duress.
We did not swear you. Would you raise your right hand, sir, please?
Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
You are,
Aaron Hammonds.
okay.
So you and the other gentleman have been approved before your current licensees. You're building the building out, is that correct?
May I? Board. Oh, go ahead.
You're building the building out, is that correct?
Correct.
And that's where the problem has been, getting the necessary permits, and with the landlord, you've had to restructure, and that's why you're here today, is that correct?
Correct.
And you got the letter from the Canton Improvement, so April 5th was the letter sent to Mr. Page, so I don't know, maybe it's the U.S. Postal Service that's, I hate to do that, but
Okay. But they support you, is that
Right.
correct? Okay. Any questions?
Mr. Hammonds, you're the one operating the establishment or managing the establishment?
Yes, ma'am.
No further questions.
But it's not currently open,
no,
Correct.
so hopefully we'll get it open soon.
Yes.
Right? Okay.
it's in your neighborhood.
That's scary that Mel knows.
All right, thank you. On the basis of the materials contained in the application, proffers from council, testimony received, I'd vote to approve the transfer.
I concur and vote to approve the transfer.
I vote to approve the transfer.
Good luck, Mr. Hammond.
Thank
Good
you,
luck.
gentlemen.
No exhibits for the record.
Chuma's Discount Liquor and Cuisine, 5142 Park Heights Avenue. This is a Class BD7 beer, wine, and liquor license, an application to transfer ownership. Please come forward.
Good afternoon, J.U. representing the applicant.
Good afternoon. Gentlemen, please raise your right hands.
Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Mr. Yu?
Good morning. This is again a request for a transfer of a Class BD7 license at 5142 Park Heights Avenue. Mr. Chuma is the current owner of the Curly's, which was before the board. So Mr. Chuma is trying to buy into this new business. So he wants to add kitchen to the premises. So we did request for an occupancy application with that indication, and I checked with the zoning board, and they indicated that no additional hearing is required because as a tavern, they may serve food. So, but when it comes to doing the installation for the kitchen and with the menu, we will provide that to the board upon being available. But Mr. Chuma wants to put in his special cuisines, couple cuisines, and then appetizers and that sort of nature for the patrons. So
is he being added to the license?
actually, he will be. No, it's actually transfer. So from Mr. Juan Yong is the current licensee, the seller. So Mr. Juan will be transferring the license to Mr. Chuma and Mr. Rivers, who's the resident agent licensee. And Mr. Rivers is right here, and he's qualified. He's
This gentleman is?
I'm George Mitchell.
Oh.
Okay, I'm president of a lot of different associations, Neighborhoods United, Lakes Hughes Community Action Association, also president and chairman of Park Heights Chamber of Commerce.
What's your connection with Langston Hughes?
I'm the CEO, president and CEO.
Oh, okay. Okay. And you're supportive of this?
Very supportive, sir. Just yesterday, I had a meeting with the state controller, Peter Francho, and he wanted to meet in Park Heights and have lunch. And we had absolutely nowhere to go in Park Heights to have lunch. Nowhere to go. I mean, the only place available to have lunch in Park Heights is McDonald's. And we would like to see the staff. He's been very good in the community. We'd like to see him open up a place where, especially that 5100 block of Park Heights, we want to clean it up. There's a lot of things going on in Park Heights right now. We have doing what we can to clean it up and make it a better resident. Plus, I was very instrumental in us keeping the Preakness here. So the Preakness is going to be here now for a while. So we trying to get guys like him in to open up businesses to do well in our community.
Did any of those bills pass?
Which one?
The ones about Pimlico and
Actually, the one for law did not pass. That's why we're going to keep the Preakness.
Okay.
So,
Again, this is the support letter from the various communities that Mr. Mitchell is involved with.
Okay. So we have from Neighborhoods United Community Association, Park Heights Chamber of Commerce, and Langston Hughes, and they all have the same letterhead?
no,
You
different,
operate
it's
them
different
out of
letterhead. It's just my the secretary was in a hurry. And I told him.
Okay. Any questions, Commissioners?
No questions.
All right, thank you. On the basis of the materials contained in the application, the documents have been received in evidence of proffers from counsel and testimony. I'd vote to approve the transfer.
I concur and vote to approve the transfer.
I vote to approve the transfer.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much.
I call the exhibits. Applicant Exhibit 1, letter of support from Langston Hughes Community Action Association. Applicant Exhibit 2, letter of support from Park Heights Chamber of Commerce. Applicant Exhibit 3, letter of support from Neighborhoods United Community Association.
So does that conclude till 1 o'clock, Mr. Page?
That's correct, Mr. Chairman. The board is in recess until 1 p.m.
Thank you. Are we ready?
I think we are, Mr. Chairman. Good afternoon. Now begins the PM docket of the Board of Liquor License Commissioners for Baltimore City. If you're in possession of any type of electronic device, please place said device on the off or silent mode during proceedings. Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, preliminary matter on the PM docket, case number 14, 2556 Madison Avenue, Doubles Market and Grill. This case has been postponed. Mr. Chairman, there's been a request to go out of order. Calling case number 5, 1405 Point Street. This is a Class B beer, wine, and liquor license. This is a request for outdoor table service, off-premise catering, and delivery of alcoholic beverages. Please come forward.
Counsel?
Good afternoon, Your Honor, and thank you for honoring my request. I need to be in district court this afternoon. I greatly appreciate the board's cooperation. This is a request for outdoor seating, off-premise catering, and delivery of alcoholic beverage. I have copies of an outline as well as a letter of support, which I'll submit for the record at this time.
Can I ask your client to raise his right hand, please?
Certainly.
Swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do.
Okay, Mr. Woolman.
Mr. Chairman, if it pleases the board, I will proffer what's contained in the outline at this time, and obviously my client is here to my left to answer any questions you might have. His name is Andrew Fox. He is with Vita Taco. He's here on behalf of the licensee, which is Mr. Joseph Sacchetti. I did communicate with the executive staff of the board and confirmed that he could appear here on this request on behalf of the licensee. As I mentioned, this is a request for outdoor seating, off-premise catering, delivery of alcoholic beverages. The property is part of the new 1401 Point development. It's adjacent to a recently completed residential building at 1405 Point. This is all the Harbor Point area where the Exelon building is, et cetera, in Baltimore. The premises does include approximately 3,500 square feet of the first floor of 1401 Point. There's a rendering in your packet that I've handed out that depicts the proposed outdoor seating. Our licensee, Mr. Sacchetti, is familiar with the rules and regulations of the Liquor Board and pledges to abide by them. He's a 17-year veteran of the real estate, property management, and media industry. Also in your packet is a letter of support from the community there at 1401 Point in support of the outdoor seating. Regarding the criteria to approve the application under Section 4210A, we submit as follows regarding public need and desire for the license. The ability to serve outside as a complement to the new restaurant will enhance the restaurant's ability to provide a service to the new residents of Harbor Point. The number and location of existing license holders. Vita Taco is the first full-service restaurant in Harbor Point. Therefore, there is minimal, if any, effect on existing license holders for which the application is made. The potential commonality or uniqueness of the services and products to be offered by the business. Vita Taco is positioning itself to provide a very unique service to the residents, office tenants, as well as visitors to Harbor Point. The impact of the license for which the application is made on health, safety, and welfare of the community, including issues related to crime, traffic, parking, or convenience. The approval of this request would not have a negative impact on the community regarding parking. There are a number of parking garages in both Harbor Point and the surrounding neighborhood to accommodate the restaurant, and obviously you have the letter of support from the community. With that, I would submit at this time, and if you have any questions for my client, he is here.
So how much outdoor table service is there?
How many tables?
Now the outside service area is technically 1,200 square feet, but because the construction hasn't progressed to finish that out yet, we're really going to be about 500 to 600 square feet until probably the November, which wouldn't matter. So probably next spring will be our full 1,200 square foot.
And I don't have this in my head, but so is this right in front, to the side?
It is actually right in front. So Harbor Point has a center circle. It faces the center circle, and then it's literally right the adjacent right in front of our front door, and then to the side street.
Commissioners have questions?
I just had a question about the seats.
Okay.
No question.
Thank you. Then on the basis of the materials contained in the application, the proffers from council, the exhibits that have been received today, and testimony, I would vote to approve the request to add outdoor table service, off-premise catering, and delivery of alcoholic beverages to the license.
I concur and vote to approve the request to add outdoor table service, off-premise catering, and delivery of alcoholic beverages to the license as well.
I join my colleagues and would agree to add the outdoor table service, off-premise catering, and delivery of alcoholic beverages. Good luck.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
That calls it for the record. Board Exhibit 1, hearing outline.
921 East Fort Avenue, Class BD7, Beer, Wine, and Liquor License. A request to expand premises.
Council, for the record.
For the record, Joseph Woolman on behalf of the applicant who's standing to my left.
And sir, would you raise your right hand, please?
Case number 6, Bryson, sorry.
Raise your right hand. You swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
And you are Mr.
Roop.
Oh, okay.
Mr. Roop is here on behalf of the licensees, Mr. Merritt and Mr. Swacco.
Okay.
Similar to the last case.
Stephen with a V. Last name's R-O-O-P as in Paul.
And Mr. Roop is also with Merritt Properties for the record.
Okay. And so you want to tell us about this?
Certainly. Again, I have copies of a hearing outline as well as a rendering of the expanded premises and an engineered site plan of the expanded premises, which I'll submit for the record at this time. And if it would please the board, I'll proffer the contents of the outline. As I mentioned, Mr. Roop is standing to my left. He's with Merritt Properties. He's here on behalf of licensees Rob Merritt and Gary Swacco. The premises is located at 921 East Fort Avenue, and this is a request to expand those premises. The subject property is part of the Foundry at Fort. Some of you may be familiar with that development, which includes the Merritt Athletic Clubs on Fort Avenue. There's an engineered site plan in the file, as well as there's an attached rendering which depicts the expansion to the Merritt Athletic Club, which is part of the property. The applicants, Mr. Merritt, Mr. Swacco, are both familiar with the rules and regulations of the City Liquor Board. They pledge to abide by them. Both Mr. Merritt and Mr. Swacco are multi-decade veterans of the real estate community here in Baltimore. Also attached to the outline that I submitted is a letter of support from the Locust Point Community Associations, which sings the praises of Merritt as an outstanding member of the community. Regarding the criteria to approve the application under Section 4210A, we would submit as follows regarding public need and desire. The ability to serve outside as a complement to the existing operations at the Merritt Athletic Club will enhance its ability to provide a service to the Locust Point community. The number and location of existing license holders. There are 2 other BD7 licenses in the area and a total of 11 liquor licenses in general in the area. The potential effect on existing license holders is non-existent. We submit the request would have no detrimental effect on those license holders. The potential commonality, uniqueness of the services and products to be offered by the business to the applicant. The Merritt Athletic Club and its pool facility are the only businesses of its kind in Locust Point. The impact on on which the application would be made on health, safety, and welfare. The approval request would not have a negative impact on the community. The business is served by a large surface parking lot to the side and the rear regarding parking, and you have a copy of the letter of support. With that, I would submit at this time, and obviously my client is here to answer any questions.
What am I seeing here?
Actually, we
Which
have a
area is
color.
the expansion? Is this in front here?
Theoretically, just the roof would be.
Oh, up top?
Yeah, because the face of that'll sit on the fence line, so it's kind of inset on the pool deck. So you're really talking about a couple hundred square feet of additional service area.
And, I mean, so about how many people can that accommodate?
It's a 40 by 10, so we haven't gotten, a fire marshal number yet, but maybe 25 people, something like that.
Okay. All right.
Probably more so for sunning than anything, additional sun chairs.
Commissioners have questions?
No questions.
So how long will it take to construct this?
It's being fabricated off-site as we speak. Site work is approved and beginning this week, and then we'll set the container and finish the, fit out on-site.
Okay, great. And you have experience in this, in serving alcohol and purchasing from wholesalers?
I do.
Correct. Okay, thank you.
And so this was an application for outdoor seating, off-premise catering, and delivery of alcoholic beverages, just like the last one?
Well, actually, this is a request to expand the premises.
Okay, that's what I saw here. So what's the difference between those two applications?
Well, the difference here is we're actually looking to expand what the current licensed premises includes, because technically, as Mr. Roop testified, the storage container is being placed right on the fence line. So out of an abundance of caution, we view this as an expansion of the premises. The license already does permit the service at the pool area, so we're not requesting that. We already have that in hand.
Okay. Anything else?
Nothing else.
All right, thank you. On the basis then of the materials that are contained in the application, proffers from council, testimony, and the exhibits that have been received, I would vote to approve the request to expand the premises.
I concur and vote to approve the request to expand premises.
I vote to approve the request to expand premises.
Good luck.
Good luck.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'd call exhibits for the record. Have Exhibit 1, hearing outline.
Calling case number 12, 2701 Boston Street. This is a Class BD7, beer, wine, and liquor license, a request for a transfer hardship extension under Article 12-1705, small b.
You'll be rid of me after this one. For the record, Joe Woolman on behalf of the applicant who is standing to my left. This is a request for hardship extension of a transfer.
And this is because of operations were suspended, a new license approved in September of last year?
That is correct. There was some flooding on the property that we have photographs of that we can submit for the record. There's been a lot of work done to repair that flooding. We're also working with a newly identified operator. I actually had a meeting with the executive staff of the board last week to sort of update them where we are on the transfer process. We hope to complete it soon, but we weren't going to be able to get it done within the 180-day period because of the hardship.
And is this for an additional 90 or 180 days?
This is for an additional 90.
Okay.
And we hope to have the transfer completed as soon as possible. Part of the hardship has been the former licensee has been out of town a lot, and we need him to sign off on certain things, and that's been a bit of an issue as well.
Commissioners?
No questions.
No questions.
All right, thank you. On the basis then of the request expressed in your letter of March 11, proffers and testimony, I would vote to approve the hardship extension for 90 days.
I concur and vote to approve the hardship extension for 90 days.
I vote to approve the transfer hardship extension for 90 days, not to exceed 270 days.
Thank you very much. For the record, I'll just have it place this outline in the file. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Good luck.
I'd call exhibit for the record. Applicant, Exhibit 1, hearing outline.
Case number 13, 4507-09 Bel Air Road. This is a Class BD7, beer, wine, and liquor license. A request for a transfer hardship extension under Article 12-1705, small b. Please come forward.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. Sean Harvey, 309 South Conklin Street, for the applicant. To my right, Ms. Smith.
Good afternoon. You've written us a letter and said there were several requests to make minor additions, corrections to the plant, and they taking more time than you anticipated.
That's correct, Your Honor. And actually, we thought we were going to be able to get this finished before the end of March, but because time was pressing, we had to have this extension request in by the 12th of March. We did complete everything, got a certificate of occupancy, but we couldn't move forward to get the license because of this hearing. So we're asking for an extension, 90-day extension, but we're going to probably pick up the license sometime next week.
Okay. Commissioners have questions?
No questions.
No questions.
I thank you. On the basis then of the written request before the board, other materials, and the proffer from council, I would vote to approve the hardship extension for 90 days.
I concur and vote to approve the transfer hardship extension for 90 days.
I vote to approve the transfer hardship extension for 90 days. Not to
One
exceed
other
10
thing,
days.
though, because we expect it to get this completed by before the end of April, we may need a waiver of the penalty period for the renewal process. We couldn't submit a renewal application because she didn't own the license at the time, but now she's going to, if she picks it up next week, she'll also have to submit a renewal application. Of course, it's $50 a day fine if you don't file it by March 31st.
Is that a problem?
That is a problem.
That is a problem, right.
Shushing people in the back, they're making a little bit of noise. I didn't hear, what was the issue? I apologize.
Mr. Harvey, can you say it again?
Okay, well, we expect to pick up this license sometime next week, and it'll still be before the actual new year, so she'd have to file an application for renewal of the license, and we're asking the board to waive the $50 per day penalty.
You wouldn't be able to ask that here as per our policy. What you would do is you would file a waiver request, and you file that with our office, and that would be forwarded to the chair for review.
Okay.
So that would be,
Oh, that's one of those, we go through those on a regular basis, so just submit something.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good luck.
I don't even know who that is.
I'm sorry, no exhibits. 90 days.
I think we're back in order, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
500 South Lehigh Street, Class BD7, Beer, Wine, and Liquor License, an application to transfer ownership. Please come forward.
Is anyone here on this matter?
Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Harvey, you want to identify yourself for the record?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Once again, good afternoon. Sean Harvey, 309 South Conklin Street, Baltimore, 21224. For the applicant, Mr. Villalobos, who's standing here. The minority owner is ill. He wasn't able to appear, but I'd like to proffer this.
Can they just be sworn first, please? Raise your right hands, folks.
Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead, Mr. Harvey.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Villalobos is the majority 95% shareholder in a corporation named PPI Bar Inc. that was formed on February 5th, 2019. He's also the president and treasurer. The secretary, Mr. Luis Harrison, is not present due to illness. He also owns a 5% stake in this corporation. Mr. Villalobos' company entered into a purchase agreement with John Zorzit, trustee, back on December 28th, 2018, for the purchase of not only the building, but also the license for a total of $250,000. There was $25,000 due at the time of signing, and then the balance is to be paid at settlement. Mr. Villalobos anticipates opening a neighborhood tavern, which has actually been there for probably 50 years or more. He doesn't have any experience in operating a tavern, but he's going to actually has a appointment scheduled for next week to go through the alcohol awareness training. He has worked in a restaurant, so he has been involved with serving to customers, but not actual liquor. Mr. Louise Harrison does have some experience in that regard, but again, he's not here to testify to that, so I'm proffering it. He intends to spend, he told me, at least 6 hours a day. He has another business, and because he won't be there every day for the full time it's open, he intends to hire a manager, and that's Miss Anna Delsus, who's standing to my right. And she will notify. And she will be there most of the time, and she's going to register with the board. She's going to take her alcohol awareness training, and she's also going to submit to a criminal background check.
And what's her experience?
I've worked,
Come up to the mic.
sorry, I have actually worked for Applebee's as server. I have about 5 years experience serving, basically to customers, but that's what I have experience on.
Thank you.
She hasn't any managerial experience along those lines, but she's very capable and intelligent woman. They intend to have four employees, and they understand. I explained to them that if they have employees that under state law, they have to maintain workers' comp insurance. In fact, she told me they already have it. Okay, so the bar, as I said, has been there for probably 50 years or longer. It's in Highland Town, so there are a number of other locations in that area, at least licensed locations, but it shouldn't be of any ill effect to the area for that purpose. See, the potential commonality of uniqueness of the services and products served well, it's going to be a new experience for this neighborhood and for Mr. Villalobos, so I don't think there's going to be any negative impact on the community. As a matter of fact, they've gotten together with the Greater Greektown Neighborhood Alliance, and Paul
I have Mr. Paul from.
is here.
My name is Paul Wilson. Oh, sorry. My name is Paul. I'm here representing the Greater Greektown Neighborhood Alliance, here in support of this transfer application.
Okay, we have a letter from Liam Davis.
Yes, sir. You guys got a copy of that already? Excellent. I would like to say, for the record, if I may, if you'll indulge me, I was previously part of a protest of renewal of the previous owner to the business that was there previously. Mr. Villalobos is completely night and day. This gentleman approached me as a real estate owner and neighbor, introduced himself, just wanted to know if he could meet me and talk about the neighborhood and what's the neighborhood like, how can he contribute to the neighborhood, has of his own volition at his own expense went and pressure washed the entire sidewalk up and down the block, done a tremendous amount of cleanup. There's an area of property right there where there's some discrepancy whether it's city-owned property or Amtrak-owned property, but it has a history of people dumping there, and it's been dirty as long as I've lived there, 3 or 4 years. At his own expense, he came and got a dumpster, cleaned that area up. Came to 2 of our board meetings just to introduce himself with the express purpose of simply asking what would the community like to see out of a tavern in that neighborhood, and has given us his word to be open and available to us as a neighborhood association ongoing.
Thank you.
That's great. Okay.
Quick question. On the floor plan, it has a dance floor and DJ booth, but on the application, there's no live entertainment provided.
Yeah, that was, I put that on there accidentally.
You put
But
what on there?
We actually, it was there prior, but we removed it.
The DJ booth and the dance floor?
Yeah, it was
Must
there.
not have removed that. I told them that you don't have the zoning approval for that sort of thing, and if they want it, they have to go to the zoning board and then get approval from them, and then come back to this board and ask for approval as well. But no, that will be, that
No,
is.
we removed that from the, because it was there prior, but we removed that, all of that.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
So, question for Mr. Villalobos. I give you a lot of credit for reaching out, and I think that's a tremendous thing, and it sounds like you're well on your way. Sounds like, though, at the same time, you have another business and you live in Annapolis. How do you intend to balance all of this?
Oh.
Come up to the mic.
Sorry. Basically, I represented the 3 companies. One is the Pavel Professional Installers, second one is PPI Installers, and the third one is a PPI Bar. So basically, I got 3 managers on my company. She's the one for the PPI Bar, and I got 2 more working on, because my company is part of the Union Hall in New York. So mostly all the time I travel, but I got people working there, I got a lot of people working behind me.
So the reason, honestly, the reason is I decided to open the PPA bar is because I want to. This is a dream I have when I just younger. So this is my dream. But the thing is, I got a lot of people working behind me. My team counts like 20 people already on my team on all three companies.
Well, I think that's great. And I'm sure Mr. Harvey has explained to you that you're ultimately responsible.
Sure.
And, you know, Highlandtown is and Greektown is a very active community in the good sense of the word.
Mhm.
And I appreciate what you've done so far, and hopefully you'll stay engaged.
That's my plan because I got medical problems, so right now I can't work like that like before. So this is my plan. So I want to open this and concentrate on this because I want to stay. I want to sit down on my home, go home, have like a schedule for work. Like I have to go open the bar, so I go open the bar, check the bar, stay there. Because before my job is travel too much, and I can't do that because I want to take care more of my life, my stay here.
Thank you.
Thanks, sir.
Okay, so our primary concern is that you all and your employees know all our rules and regulations and follow them carefully, especially about selling to minors and who you purchase your inventory from and those things. And I just want, caution Mr. Villalobos, if this is your dream, you need to be there a lot because they'll take the dream away from you if you are not in control of a bar. But anyway, anything further?
Nothing further.
Nothing further.
Okay, thank you. On the basis of the materials contained in the application, the letter of support, the proffer from counsel and testimony, I would vote to approve the transfer.
I concur and vote to approve the transfer.
I vote to approve the transfer.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you.
See Mr. Ramsey in the back. I call the exhibits for the record. Board Exhibit 1, letter of support from Greater Greektown Neighborhood Alliance.
(1604) Kelly Avenue. This is a Class B beer, wine, and liquor license. An application to transfer ownership requesting off-premise catering. Please come forward.
Stephen W. Fogelman, on behalf of applicant, Mr. Stansfield is standing to my right. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Mr. Fogelman, please raise your right, not Mr. Fogelman, Mr. Stansfield, please raise your right hand.
It's a long day.
I do.
Okay, Mr. Fogelman.
Thank you. I'm going to make this quick. I thought I had it all figured out. We went long this morning, so I ate at your favorite lunch spot. So then I found out you got lunch here, so ran back here. Real quick, Mr. Stansfield is a 30-year resident of the United States and a United States citizen since 2015. He's managed No Idea Tavern in South Baltimore from 2008 to 2015. Worked as a bartender at Canton's Smaltimore restaurant from 2015 to 19. So he's got 11 years of retail alcohol experience, and he will be certified next week. This dream, everybody's got a dream when they come here, is the 4th Abbey Burger Bistro. And I like to think once you got 3 locations under your belt, that almost proves public need and desire right there, because they're well-received neighbors in Federal Hill, they're beloved in Fells Point, and they are tolerated in Ocean City. What do you think? So I've got the Millers here who are the founders, so I don't want to say anything untoward about their dream. So let me give you...
Glad to have the Millers here.
Thank you. Let me give you menu items. And they're excited to be here and opening up in Mount Washington. If you have not dined at one of the 3 locations, they are famous for their gourmet burgers, where you've got about 11 or 12 different meats.
Oh, thank you.
And condiments and combinations, millions of different burgers, technically. Let's see. As far as Mr. Stansfield, he is going to be the initial general manager and will likely hire a permanent manager soon, and we'll be training them and making sure they are alcohol management certified. Finally, Abbey is known as the bar section is known as a beer bar. They have 40 or more taps of various craft beers, many of them local and Maryland made. So that's about all I have here. It's just a transfer of an existing license, transfer of ownership only. Thank you.
And commissioners have questions?
No questions.
Other than, I mean, the idea of a peanut butter burger is.
That's actually my favorite.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay, well.
You're not going to live very long.
Well,
I mean, in fair.
I live on the edge, you know.
To the chairman's point, it does come with Applewood bacon.
Yeah. It's really good.
Okay, well, I have no further questions. Let me give you the menu back, because.
Thank you all.
So you're going to manage this
Yes.
yourself? Okay. And do you have experience with alcohol?
Yes, yeah,
Okay.
11 years.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. On the basis then of the materials contained in the application, the proffers from council and testimony, I'd vote to approve the transfer.
I concur and vote to approve the transfer ownership requesting off-premise catering.
I join my colleagues in voting to approve the transfer with the off-premise catering. Good luck.
Good luck.
Thank you. Thank you.
Stay the
Appreciate
same.
it.
Thanks.
I call exhibit for the record, applicant exhibit 1, menu.
Two 231 Sedley Street. This is a Class BD7 beer, wine, and liquor license, an application to transfer ownership. Mr. Chairman and Commissioners, the address of 2231 Sedley Street received notice on 5/17/2018 regarding the new zoning standards as relates to taverns.
For the record, Melvin J. Kaninsky representing the applicant in this case.
Would you folks raise your right hands, please?
Swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth and nothing but the truth.
Yes, I do.
It's a transfer of existing BD7 beer, wine, liquor. It's been there for a long, long time. I think the Van Skivers who were there, I represented them for 40 years, and they're getting to the point where they want to retire. Mr. Al Van Skivers having some health problems, and Colleen is taking over. It's in Westport, very end of the street. At one time, it was supposed to be a real prosperous thing when Mr. Pat Turner was going to develop that whole development there. Well, they went, like they say, for stunken, and it didn't happen. But Mr. Scott Evans is now he's buying the property, so he's going to be involved there. He's going to take the alcohol awareness test on this Saturday. He's familiarized himself with the rules and regulations of the Liquor Board. Going to keep the same operation, the same employees. He's had prior experience working as a bartender. He actually looks like a bartender if you think of it, but they're either that or one of those tobacco ads.
Or
And
you might be a pitcher.
I haven't shaved the bear suit yet. Every winter just kind of.
they could use, the Orioles could use
They
somebody,
all
that's
seem
for
to
sure.
have beards now.
Yeah. And then the city resident is Danette Windsor. He or she will be just used perfunctorily there. They'll keep the same hours of operation. He actually plans on eventually to develop a food operation there if he can, put a kitchen there. Years ago, it did have it, but hasn't had it for a while, so strictly a bar. Packaged goods is very negligible there.
Commissioner,
No questions.
And he's aware, obviously, of what Mr. Page said about the zoning change.
Did he say that?
He did.
The zoning change is only if you can't do more packaged goods than you can over the bar, yeah. It's never done that.
Less than 50%, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Mm.
Just want to make sure.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you. On the basis of the materials contained in the application, the proffers from council, testimony received, I'd vote to approve the transfer.
I concur and vote to approve the transfer.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you. Good luck.
No exhibits.
Two 501 Fleet Street. This is a Class BD7 beer, wine, and liquor license. An application to transfer ownership. Please come forward. Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, the address of 2501 Fleet Street received notice from Housing and Community Development on 5/17/2018 as it relates to the new zoning standards for BD7s. Council.
Certainly, thank you. Stephen W. Fogelman on behalf of the applicant Ann Kersey.
Ms. Kersey, will you raise your right hand, please?
Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Right, thank you. Good afternoon. And in fact, this is indeed a residentially zoned BD7 license. I'm happy to report that, from what I know, over 95% of sales are on premises at that establishment. It's an active bar. It's been going on since shortly after Prohibition ended. And it has been owned by a gentleman who became ill and was hospitalized for quite some time. Ms. Kersey has been the general manager at the bar for 3 years and has extensive alcohol management experience. Worked at the Blarney Stone Pub in Fells Point for years, and the financial statement only goes back 10 years. But she's been involved in one way or another in alcohol management for 30 years. She worked as a child at a family bar.
Selling alcohol?
No, everything but South Philly. So she was raised mopping floors at a bar and things like that. So she's certainly been around that side of the business for a very long time. She is a very active neighbor in her community. The couple of blocks surrounding that bar are full of new Baltimore residents, many in their 20s and 30s, and she makes a point to introduce herself and let them know if there's anything they need that they can come see her. And she's got a great tight-knit crowd. There's no food there. It's sort of it's one of the last great dive bars of the neighborhood, quite frankly. I know that she wants to make some small changes and maybe eventually do some food, but until that time, she's clearly going to just be serving drinks and making sure not to be a nuisance to the neighborhood.
You grew up in Philadelphia?
Yes, sir.
Big Five basketball fan? My friend here has been wearing her colors
I
ever
noticed
since the
that.
University of Virginia. Got lucky last week.
I don't think it wasn't luck. It was destiny.
Game before.
It was destiny.
So a neighbor who has worked with her with respect to a nonprofit, Best Buddies of Maryland, wrote a letter in support of Ms. Kersey's character and the bar's generosity with respect to charity. Also, she was involved with B3, a major fundraiser for Hampstead Hill Academy last week, which is my daughter's school, and raised and donated product and money, and she stays very active in the neighborhood, so she's an excellent addition.
Okay. Commissioners have questions?
No questions.
No questions.
All right, thank you. Then on the basis of the materials contained in the application, the proffers from counsel, the exhibit which will be received and testimony, I'd vote to approve the transfer.
I concur and vote to approve the transfer.
I vote to approve the transfer.
Good luck.
Good luck.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Commissioners, have a great day.
Title exhibit for the record, Exhibit 1, letter of support dated, not dated, but from Best Buddies. Thank you.
6820-24 Eastern Avenue. This is a Class B beer, wine, and liquor license. This is a request for a hardship extension under Article 12-2202. Please come forward.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. Harry Previs on behalf of Mr. Colin Scarlett, who's up here with me to my right.
Would you raise your right hand, sir?
Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
So he's purchasing from a secured creditor, is that what it is?
No, Mr. Scarlett is the secured
Oh, he
creditor.
is, okay.
The prior licensees were evicted on
And he's
October
looking
30th.
for somebody else to take it
2018.
over?
And yeah, we're waiting for someone else to take over.
And so
We
you're-
also have photos of the property at the time of the eviction.
Are you asking for a 180-day?
Yes, we're asking for a 180-day extension.
Well, that's not good.
No.
So they did a lot of damage.
Yes, that's correct.
I mean, is it being repaired, or are you just waiting for somebody else to come in?
Actually, we're waiting on insurance, to do the thing.
Okay. Do you have questions, Commissioners?
No questions.
No questions.
All right, thank you. On the basis of the written request for a hardship extension dated March 18, the proffer from counsel and testimony, I'd vote to approve the extension for 180 days.
I concur and vote to approve the extension for 180 days.
I vote to approve the hardship extension for 180 days.
Do you want the pictures back?
Do you need them back, or?
Yeah, I'd like to keep them.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, the before and after.
Okay.
Yeah, you need
No
the before and
exhibits.
after.
.21 North Utah Street. This is a Class B beer, wine, and liquor license. A request for hardship extension under Article 12-2202. L. Wifey.
Which is L.
Anyone present for this case?
Alewife,
Okay.
21 North Utah. Request for hardship.
We'll put it off to the next one. Next
Okay.
time.
Number 9 on the PM docket, 2600 North Howard Street. This is a Class B beer, wine, and liquor license. A request for hardship extension under Article 12-2202. Please come forward.
Good afternoon, Caroline Hecker, Rosenberg, Martin, Greenberg. I'm here on behalf of the landlord entity, which is 2600 North Howard Street, MT LLC, and I'm joined by Peter DiPrinzio, who is a representative of the landlord entity.
And this, so they're asking for 180 days, is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
And the reason?
Our prior tenant, Parts and Labor, vacated the premises in September. We entered into a lease termination agreement under which the landlord took the liquor license back as a secured creditor. And we are going to be filing an application to transfer the license formally to a new operator. In the very near future, we're not quite publicly ready to announce what that's going to be, but we do have another tenant lined up to come in there. So we expect to be filing an application in the very near future, but in the meantime, the first 180-day period expired a few weeks ago, and so we are requesting a hardship extension for another 180 days out of an abundance of caution, although I don't think it's going to take that long.
Commissioners?
No questions.
Okay, thank you. On the basis of your written request for a hardship extension dated March 12, proffers from council, and the other materials received, I would vote to approve the 180-day hardship extension.
I concur and vote to approve the 180-day hardship extension.
I, too, join my colleagues in approving the hardship extension for 180 days.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
No exhibits.
Do you need this, Stacy?
340 North Charles Street. This is a Class B beer, wine, and liquor license. A request for hardship extension under Article 12-2202. Please come forward.
For the record, Melvin J. Kadensky. I'm representing the landlord, actually, in this case. It's similar. Ms. Caroline Hecker. The two licensees, I don't know if they got noticed because they moved up to New York to open another restaurant in New York. This was the old Bontai restaurant up on Charles Street, and actually the Dr. Yusang Chung is the landlord there. They have a new tenant, and he's asking for a 180-day extension from the date of July the 31st as indicated on your docket.
180 days from last July?
What is it?
Is that what you're asking?
180 days.
From now?
Hardship.
Yeah.
Well, depends on where you pick the date from, but we could take it from 100 days from now, but we have a tenant there.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
I was just wondering if 180 days was going to expire soon
Oh,
from
no,
that date. Okay. Commissioners have questions?
No questions.
No questions.
Okay, thank you. On the basis then of your written request dated November 29 and proffers from council, I would vote to approve a 180-day hardship extension.
I concur and vote to approve hardship extension for 180 days.
I vote to approve the hardship extension for 180 days.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Need a second. I'm sorry, no exhibits.
347 South Gilmore Street. This is a Class BD7 beer, wine, and liquor license. Request to open under Article 12-2203 or hardship extension under Article 12-2202. Mr. Chairman and Commissioners, the address of 347 South Gilmore Street was issued notice on 5/17/2018 from Housing and Community Development as it relates to the new zoning standards set forth for BD7 taverns.
Oh, thank you.
For the record, Melvin J. Kadensky representing the licensee. This was a transfer. We came from a secured creditor. It was Mr. Zorzit again, and they opened. They were trying to open back and forth, and the problem, they needed some improvements to make there. The neighbors were coming in and asking them, so they closed it October the 2nd to make some other improvements. They've got it ready now to reopen and get it, but they request a reopening under the section that we've been closed more than 90 days and a 180-day extension for to go forward from there.
Okay, and we have a letter from Nancy McCormick from the Mount Clair Community Council in support.
Yes, that's correct.
Commissioners?
No questions.
No question.
All right, thank you. On the basis of the written request dated March 7, proper from council, and the exhibits which have been received, I'd vote to approve 180-day hardship extension and request to reopen.
I concur and vote to approve the request for a 100-day extension and the request to reopen.
I vote to approve the hardship extension, for 180 days, as well as granting the request to reopen after being closed for more than 90 days.
Good luck.
Good luck.
Thank you very much.
Michael Exhibits for the record. Licensee Exhibit 1, letter of support from Nancy McCormick dated April 2nd, 2019. Licensee Exhibit 2, email dated April 8th, 2019. You ready, Bryson? He's ready.
Okay. 4701-03 Eastern Avenue. This is a Class D beer and wine license. A request for transfer hardship extension under Article 12-1705, small b. Please come forward.
For the record, Melvin J. Konensky representing the licensee, who's next to me here. This was a request for an extension to transfer. They got all the way up to the point after making some improvements, filed for UNO. The inspections are scheduled for the next 2 or 3 weeks for them to complete so they can go ahead and transfer the license. So
It's a 90-day request.
90-day request, that's correct.
Okay. Commissioners?
No questions.
No questions.
All right, thank you. On the basis then of your written request of March 12 and the proffer from council, I'd vote to approve a 90-day hardship extension.
I concur and vote to approve the 90-day hardship extension.
I vote to approve the hardship extension for 90 days.
All right, thank you very much.
Good luck.
No exhibits for the record.
Four three 30 East Lombard Street. This is a Class BD7 beer, wine, and liquor license. A request for a transfer hardship extension under Article 12-1705, small b. Please come forward.
For the record, again, Harry Previs on behalf of the applicants, Ms. Hawkins and Mr. Spencer.
Good afternoon, Mr. Previous. So we have your father's letter here saying that they need 90 days to complete the transfer of the license.
Yes, that's correct. We've been searching for Mr. Schaefer, the prior licensee, and we tracked him down, and we needed him to clear up some stuff, for the personal property tax and all the SDAT filings in order to get this transfer through. We're asking for 90 days, but it shouldn't take more than 2 weeks.
Okay. Commissioners have questions?
No questions.
No questions.
All right, thank you. On the basis of the written request dated March 25 and proffers from council here today, I'd vote to approve a 90-day hardship extension.
I concur and vote to approve the 90-day hardship extension.
I vote to approve the hardship extension for 90 days.
Good luck.
Thank
Good
you.
luck.
Mr. Page, is that our docket?
That's correct, Mr. Chairman. The board is in recess until Thursday, April the 18th.
Do you need to call Alewife?
Are we calling Alewife?
Why?
Are they here? The board is in recess until Thursday, April the 18th, 2019, 10:45 a.m. to start the protest of renewal hearings.